Welcome back to a very cooling down Aldo Scribante here in Port Elizabeth. Quebec, as it's known now, on the eastern cape of the South African coast, and looking forward to 3 hours of race action coming away. Apologies for the small delay in the start of our live stream, but unfortunately there was a small issue in one of the regional categories that raced here today, which has lost us a little bit of time, which is why we're going to kick things off a little bit earlier than what we expected, but of course a little bit later than what you all expected out there watching us on social media. So apologies for that break in proceedings, but of course there's nothing we can do when the other categories have problems of their own, and we had to have a red flag scenario and a safety car scenario after a small incident in the Eastern Province modified saloon car category. So that's all been sorted out. And before we get into race proceedings for the second race of the weekend, it's round 4 of the South African Endurance Series for 2021. Let's have a look and see what happened yesterday in race number 3 of this championship. Pole position was held by Aldo Scribante and his teammate Jason Campos, with Leon Bortman and Jeff Kruger sharing the incredible Ligier, Investments Ligier. Then it was Ari Evelyn and Charlotte Ranches who were sharing the Pageant Racing, Stradale Motorsport, and Lamborghini Gallardo, who were of course the third car on the grid. And looking forward to a big challenge with the rest of the pack of cars. 2 debut cars were the Porsche of Hein Lattergan. He'd be looking forward to getting to the front end as fast as possible, and of course the Volkswagen Motorsport entry of Keegan Masters and Daniel Rowe. The P-Series Bucky, as always, supplied by Port Elizabeth Haval, and the GWM P-Series, of course, our official pace car and course car for this weekend. And there you can see the pack of cars making their way around as they got ready to go for yesterday's round 3. And a 3-hour endurance race that went into the early evening. Of course, today we're going to be going into the late night, but about to kick things off here. And as they did, it was Franco Scribante who dropped the hammer and started to make his way down towards turn number 1 to get the whole shot and disappear amongst this big field of cars. Lots of Cobras, but not as many as usual. A couple of the Cobras being hit by COVID, so they unfortunately haven't made it all the way down here. But Scribante led things out ahead of Ari Neveling, Rian Botma, Hein Lattergan, and it was Keegan Masters who started things out in the first stint for the Volkswagen Motorsport team. Richard Ritter's car being piloted by Steve Clark. He was one of the top running Cobras initially and started to put the pressure early on, but some big fights expected through the field, and that's exactly what we saw. The dominance of this car has been very difficult to beat, and with Scribante at the wheel now setting some incredible lap times, he started to pull away from the pack of cars. It was Masters trying to push onto the back end of Lattergan's Porsche, and then you had Mikhail Patamba at the wheel of the Bucketless Racing Polo Cup car. Rob Clark in the Mini, and you've got Philip Meyer, and he just pushing hard in second place in the Cobra class, and 2 regional BMWs in the mix as well, which was great to see. And they'd be looking forward to opportunities to being at the front end of their class, but of course mid-pack in the race. Right at the start of the race though, some problems. And coming in and unfortunately having to retire the People Group Cobra was Dean Wilson, who was at the wheel of that car. It's Philip Meyer's car, and of course prepped by Gerald Wright Motorsport. Unfortunately some issues there for them. Patamba continued on his merry way ahead of McDonald, and of course the Porsche there, the 996 GT3 of Roy Aubry, who would only be in for the first hour, who was one of the only entries for the hour endurance as part and parcel of that. The second Porsche out there was piloted by Mo Mir, and he'd be joined by Sun Moodley, who, as you probably found out during that little bit of unrest we had in South Africa, where all of the people got a bit excited about things and started to loot properties. The Bigfoot Express Freight factory was hit, and 3 very impressive race cars were destroyed in that looting. Well, there was a little bit of a move happening from Arnie Neveling, starting to just pull a little bit closer up to the front end, but staying in second place and just maintaining a good pace. Steve Clark also great pace so far from the Cobra, and he maintained that pace right through the first part of the race. Second place was all about Rian Botma. He was just disappearing at the front end and trying to close the gap down that Franco Scribante had opened up, but it wasn't easy. Great battle though between a Volkswagen product and a Porsche product. That is a Super Cup Polo from the Bucketless Racing team, piloted by Mikhail Patamba, and on his tail and pushing him to the limit was Hein Lattergan in his brand new Porsche. Traffic was a big issue, and it always is in endurance racing, particularly with different forms of motorsport category classes involved. And the Porsche just being shown the way around there. McDonald keeping off the intentions of a Cobra and of Masters in the Polo. Now that Polo from Volkswagen Motorsport is the original concept car for the Super Cup category, and it's a slightly different machine to what was actually produced finally for the Super Cup category. Problems for one of the backdraft Cobras, and Steve Clark had to come in there and try and get a couple of things sorted out. And then a massive problem, probably the biggest incident of the day, was the Lamborghini from Stradale Motorsport bursting into flames and having to get Ari Neveling to park it on the sideline. As you can see, the marshals were ready to go to try and assist to get that fire out, and the fireball there for the Lamborghini team was not what they expected. There was an expectation of a red flag. They put red flags out, but it actually wasn't a red flag called for by the COC, and those red flags were eventually pulled back in, and we went to a full course safety car scenario. It was great to see that Ari could get out the burning car, and the marshals responding rapidly to try and get the flames out on that Lamborghini. It's the third time that Lambo has burst into flames, so there's certainly a little bit of work to be done from the Stradale Motorsport camp's point of view to work out what the issue is that's causing that problem in the car. But some rapid response from the marshals certainly got that car out in record time. Let's see a couple other marshals coming across to join them, and eventually the car was deflamed. Unfortunately though, it wasn't able to get back on track, and we lost a very serious contender in this weekend's 2 double-up race. Jason Campos was very excited, of course in brand new kit, about to climb in and take over from his teammate Franco Scribante, who'd done an incredible job to open up a very commanding lead at the front end of the race. Scribante came in, lights ablaze, telling the team he's ready to go, and a smooth and calculated pit stop was done by Scuderia Scribante to get Franco out the car and Jay into it. No rushing, they had lots of time, and they also had a huge gap that they could work with. And by the time they got back on track, they resumed their position at the front end. Pit lane then became pretty frantic. Rob Clark coming in to hand over to Chris Pretorius, and Andrew Horn handing over to Gerald Bass for a bit of a change-up as well in the only Nash sport here this weekend. Horndog doing a great job initially and handing it over to the motorcycle rider, Gerald Bass, to take over from him. It was good to see a nice combination there of the two drivers. Also taking their time with the refuel and doing everything according to the rules of this race series. All of the fueling marshals with full fireproof overalls and helmets on, and getting that car out. The car does battle a bit when it's warm to restart. Bucketless racing and fast developments with a change up for drivers as well. Brad Scorer going to be taking over from Mikael Patamba, and refuel being done by the Bucketless and fast developments team. Jeff Kruger, teammate to Rian Botma, climbed into the Ligier, and it only took him a couple of laps for him to get up to pace in that car. In fact, started putting in some really good lap times. The 262 Cobra also with a couple of changes to be made there for the Pretorius boys, and they'll be looking forward to today's race action, I'm sure, as well, as they were in contention for a good high up finish for yesterday's first 3 hours. But that's how hard they were pushing it. Look at those tires, absolutely wrecked. It was Roy Aubrey to come across the line to take the checkered flag for the 1 hour endurance race, and actually got out the car, and he was absolutely broken, despite having all the training he's doing for the Dakar. He took a little bit of strain there. And speaking of taking strain, low slung sports cars versus saloon cars is the merit of this particular series. And if you have a look at this, it was a big move on the inside from Rian Botman to have a go on the inside of Hein Lauterbach. This was, of course, before the pit stop happened. We brought you all the action that we could get you in the highlights package. There was a little tag on the back, and then with the Porsche coming around, he returned the favor, just avoiding another tag. But great driving from Botman to realize that Hein Lauterbach's car would spin out in front of him, possibly come and re-tag him on the way around. Out front though, Jason Campos just doing absolute justice to this, and of course he's going to take first place overall for yesterday's race. Second place would go to Jeff Kruger and Rian Botma in the Auto Investments Ligier, and the third place battle resumed at the initial parts of this, but eventually it ended up in the hands of Volkswagen Motorsport, and they would go on to take third place overall in that Volkswagen Polo GTI. Across the line and checkered flag came out. We managed to catch up with the team as they celebrated on the pit wall and took the second victory of the season for Scuderia Scribante. comes Jason Campos for the victory, along with his teammate Franco Scribante. What an amazing effort there from them. And there's a happy man behind the wheel of a very, very fast race car. It's gone all according to plan today, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. It doesn't always, but we're grateful that it has today, yes.
It's 2 races in a row, though, for 2 different rounds of this championship, changing things up a little bit in SAES. But I think it's nice to see a completely different way of doing the championship as opposed to doing the same old, same old.
Yeah, it is nice. I mean, we're here anyway. We need to catch up in the events, so let's do it. I mean, yeah, it works, and it works costing-wise for the teams to be here. They're already here. They save money. They don't have to go away again. It's different, but yeah, it does work.
And in terms of the car, looks like it was faultless.
Yeah, it was absolutely faultless, Greg. It's wonderful to have a driver like young Jason with us now, and he's got pace, he's mechanically minded, he's good on the car, so yeah, we've got a good thing going here.
Still some rounds to go in the championship after this as well. We'll get to that probably tomorrow, but I think it's part and parcel of the thinking that you have to take into tomorrow, because, you know, things have gone wrong for opposition. Things can go wrong. We're not going to say that this is going to go wrong, but you have to have that in the back of your mind, don't you?
Yeah, we do. I mean, you know what this racing's like. 5 minutes to go in a 9-hour and you break down. It happens. I mean, we've seen it a million times. So, yeah, until it's over, it's not over.
But you've had a good day and a nice lap time coming out of you as well. A 58.9 out of this car. That's probably one of the best times you've got done in this one, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we've been quicker. We didn't really need to be quicker this weekend, but yeah, it's great. The car's got pace.
And you're happy?
Very happy, Greg.
Good. Jay, I'm going to get you in here quickly to have a quick chat. He's been waxing lyrical about the ability in the car. I think the most important factor to bring in is, of course, you've taken the victory and you wanted to be behind the wheel when it came across the line.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I just like it so much. I prefer Franco to start. It's his car, so if he messes it up in the beginning, then it's on him. So then it's nice because he gives it to me in first with a few laps lead, so it's just easy to maintain from there. As you can see, I think I did, an hour 14 maybe, and I feel absolutely fine, you know. So I know the other guys have probably got their tongues hanging out, and look at me. I'm perfectly good.
Yeah, that's what I like to see. Good effort from both of you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow, and hopefully for another one.
100%. Thank you, guys.
Nice. There we go. Is there a possibility now that they're going to do a back-to-back victory for both of these? Eric Schultz coming into my office as well to whisper something in my ear, so we'll just get that information from him. Just a number change on that car from Eric Schultz, our COC. Thanks for that, Eric. Appreciate it, buddy. There'll be 2 car 23s on track, but the change up there, of course, is that car. That's one of the cars we're speaking about, which will have both Zolile Latlaka and Chop Sapuka behind the wheel usually, but of course with the change up there's going to be an opportunity now for Charles Orangis and Ari Neveling to pilot that McLaren of theirs and hopefully get it into some kind of race winning opportunity after the bit of bad luck they've had. There's our P-Series Bucky, nice little truck there from GWM, and Haval PE supplying us that vehicle, and of course our course car, the single cab version of that, and it's hashtag go and find the edge. That's exactly what a whole bunch of these drivers are looking to do now, is to go and find the edge and possibly take a victory. Massive thanks to Link Online as well for our broadcast today. If you want to get a hold of them, they specialize in broadband connectivity, network management, and of course anything that has to do with IT, and that's on the World Wide Web at linkonline.co.za. We're standing by to go racing. It's 17 degrees Celsius with a real feel of 15 degrees Celsius. And at this point in time, we are looking at a wind speed of about 30 k's an hour. And you'll see as we come down the main straightaway, those flags have picked up. And the wind is going to be here for the rest of the afternoon as we get ready to go now for round 4 of the South African Endurance Series. Lights are out and we're racing, and it's the hammer down time for Franco Scribante, who starts the race out again, trying to open up a bit of a commanding lead and be able to manage that lead ahead of the rest of the pack of cars. It's Stradale behind them, then Hein Larticon with a bit of pressure coming initially there from Big Push from Volkswagen Motorsports Polo GTI. Diving on the inside there, I think it should possibly be Keegan Masters, beg your pardon, who will be at the wheel of the car to start things out, and then Daniel Rowe will take over from him. We have got the Porsche out there as well of Roy Aubrey. I wonder if Stradale's done some maneuvering to get some of their drivers into that car so that they can possibly participate and still have a chance of running here. It's the start of this 3 hours, and we've got a long way to go to get it all sorted out. But once it is sorted out, oh, problems! Latikon with a bit of an issue coming out of the hairpin, and the Porsche has been looped out. I'm not quite sure if he got helped out there. I know that Paul will probably hopefully give us a bit of a replay of that. I was looking down at the timing monitor at the same time he spun, and as I looked up, there was the Porsche going the wrong way around. Coming into the thick of it now, you can see that it'll be Patamba from McDonald. Looks like Gerald Bass has started this one out in the 3 hours, as opposed to Andrew Horn. That was the same that they did yesterday. As they come across the line there, then you've got Philip Meyer. It's Rob Clark. Behind them is possibly Richard Rutz or Steve Clark. I'm not quite sure who's at the wheel. Looks like Clark's at the wheel right now with a white helmet. Philip Meyer coming along. Latikon has eventually got the Porsche back on track after a long way round, but he's got a long way to go now. He's coming down towards Chevy Sweep as the leaders are heading up towards the hairpin. It was a bit of assistance. It came from the Volkswagen Polo GTI from Volkswagen Motorsport. Trying to avoid action, and a little tap there between the Polo GTI and the Porsche. Ooh, that's not nice. But it is part of how this various formats and various categories of racing that all get together for endurance racing can go right or wrong. And right there, unfortunately, it went all wrong for Latikon in his GT3 Cup Porsche. 3 Porsches on track, and that's the last one on track now in the hands of Latikon. The second one is that one there, number 69, piloted at the moment by Mo Mia. He's teammates to Sun Woodley this weekend, as I mentioned in the preview and review of what happened yesterday. Sun Woodley's cars all destroyed in a factory fire after the looting down in KwaZulu-Natal. And that's a big sad loss to motorsport, with all of the damage that was done to that factory and the 3 race cars that were completely destroyed. In fact, there were 4 race cars destroyed in that factory. But fortunately, Mo Mia has given opportunity there to Sun Woodley to come back and still have a chance to have some fun and games here today. Looks like that might be Brad Scorer at the wheel to start things out for the bucketless racing. Looking at the helmet in that car, and also the size of the driver. He's a lot taller than Mikhail Patamba. Roy Aubrey possibly at the wheel of his own Porsche. It looks like a white helmet there of Roy Aubrey, so he has got back on track and climbed back into the car. Just want to double check. Red overalls, yes, that is Aubrey. He'll be looking to do the double here in the 1 hour endurance series. It's the 1 hour that forms part of the first part of this race. He only races for the first hour, and then we'll pull in a checkered flag will come out for him. Just trying to get my timing monitor to refresh as well. A little bit of issue there on the timing monitor. It is refreshing now. As they come across the line, that of course is Gerald Bass ahead of Dean Wilson. Dean Wilson ahead of Steve Clark. Clark in the 42, Luso Cafe and Motul sponsored Cobra. Hiram Pretorius is at the wheel of the 3rd Cobra there, and then it's Chris Pretorius in the Mini behind him. Wade Wright doing a super job out there ahead of Sun Woodley and Steve Tritter, and then it's Richard van Heerden. Virisomo Tavares is at the wheel of the Porsche, so I beg your pardon, it wasn't Hein Latikon, it's his teammate. And Tavares, unfortunately, I think just got caught out by a hard charge from some seasoned multiple SA champions trying to make their way through early on in the Volkswagen Motorsport Polo. So that was an issue that they had there with the initial start to this race. And of course, we're going to be keeping an eye on that and their progress, because they're going to have to come from a long way back to try and make it back to the front end. The front end right now is all about Franco Scribante, and he is dominating and looking for a chance to be in the lead of this race by the time the checkered flag comes out in about 3 hours' time. Scribante from Zolile Letlaka, that's how it stands at the moment. Daniel Rose in 3rd place after that little touch with the Porsche. It's Roy Aubrey who's up into 4th place in the Haval Edenvale Porsche. Brad Scorer in 5, Darren McDonald is 6, 7 is base, and Gerald Wright at the moment in 8th place ahead of Richard Rutz and Zane Pierce. That's how it stands on my timing monitor as we're into it now for 3 hours of racing, courtesy of our Link Online assistants, and of course up to 60 seconds, the production team here today. As I said, the wind has picked up. You'll probably get to see a couple of flags waving on top of those flagpoles on the main straight away, and there you can see them just on the left hand side. So windy conditions here means that open cockpits will be a little bit blustery. You start to feel the effects of that blustering wind as you're getting into the thick of it throughout the day. And of course into the night as well. We're going to be keeping an eye out on the temperature too, because as the temperature starts to drop here, so does the track temperature, and means it makes it very difficult for the drivers to get traction on these cars. It's an open tyre rule. You can have any tyres you want if you want to be participating in the series, so there's no specific tyre to run with, to the teams taking their preferred choice. Verrier is starting to make his way through, and of course it says Hein Lauderdale on here. I don't know if I'm seeing things right there, Paulie. What does it say on your timing monitor? I just want to double check that it was Hein behind the wheel, or was it his teammate? Looks like it is Tavares, yeah. Tavares in the wheel, at the wheel of that car. And problems. It's probably his transponder that's in that car at the moment. Hopefully it is him. I'm going to try and get a close-up shot of that Porsche if we can. But coming into pit lane is one of the Cobras, and that's not part and parcel of the plan, that is for sure. That is not a scheduled stop for that Cobra. Traffic already for the leader. And with about 4 laps into it, he's already picked up the back markers of this big field of cars. So it's now up to Franco Scribante to use his experience to get through the traffic, hopefully unscathed, and hopefully be able to get to the front as quickly as possible again for a bit more clear air. But there's hardly any more clear air from now on. You'll see him starting to push the lights on. And speaking of lights, at 5:30 this evening there is a compulsory lights on for all cars, which we'll keep an eye on for as well. Wilson at this stage leading things out over the 262 car of Hiram Pretorius. There is Scribante on their tail. He'll be flashing Hiram Pretorius to give him an opportunity to get through. He does. He's got through on that car and chase down the next of the Cobras up the road. Home here in the Toys R Us Porsche. Ooh, was that a car off there in the foreground as we shot through that shot, or was there just a bit of dust on the screen there that might have been kicked up by somebody else? Down the main straight away. Mini BMW Porsche, that's how it stands at this point. There is a car off at the Chevy Sweep, Daryl. Just to have a look and see. I did pick it up on our screens because I'm watching the replays, of course, on my own page. And I think it might have been one of the Cobras who had a problem in Chevy Sweep. It looks like both those Cobras are back on track, though. There was one. I think we just missed it on the pan, though, Daryl. It's fine, not a problem. We've got it all sorted now because I think they're back on track anyway. If we look down the hill now towards Chevy, you might be able to pick it up. Let's have a look and see. It was on the left-hand side there, but I think it's back on track now. And Zane Pierce still in pit lane after having to come in so early on. That certainly wasn't, as I said, a scheduled stop. Looking at... He had problems yesterday with it as well, so hopefully they can get it sorted. Pretorius now holding up Zolile Letlaka at the wheel of his McLaren. He's piloting that today with Chop Sapuka, of course, both of them local boys. Homeland that they and townships that they have come from in the past are only just down the road here from the circuit, so hometown advantage here for the two boys in the Into Africa Mining and Stradale Motorsport McLaren. Daniel Rowe at the wheel of the car at the moment in first in his class, but third overall on track. Pushing hard to stay ahead of Brad Scorer and the Porsche, Roy Aubrey. .42, Steve Clark. And currently Clark is... No, it says Richard Rutz is at the wheel of that car at the moment, so maybe I'm wrong. 8th place there for 42 car. You can't see the helmet there on the car. Thought it might have been Stevie Clark, but it's actually Richard Rutz according to the timing monitor. Here's your 3rd place car. Mentioned at the start that that is the concept car that Volkswagen's Super Cup category was built from. And both Michael Ollers and Graham Nathan have got their filthy mitts behind it. Got a bit of assistance there from Steve Green from Rob Green Auto. And they've built a really quick little Polo GTI and a bit of a giant killer when it comes to the world of endurance racing. We've already seen Team Perfect Circle do an amazing job in the Super Cup car of their own and the Super Cup car of Bucket List Racing, as they shared that car the last time we went racing, and are potentially podium sitters here again today if they can get it all right. This team will certainly be looking to change their luck around. Wilson had a nightmare. He started the race and of course had to bring it in after about 3 laps of race action yesterday. But Gerald Wright has now started this one, and he'll be looking to pilot that car as high up as possible before he comes in to hand over to either Dean Wilson or Philip Mayer. 3-man team there. Pretorius will be looking to pass it on to the younger Pretorius boys a bit later on. And if I look down there as well, Wade Wright doing a super job so far in the 237 car. Nice little fight here as well between Bucket List Racing's Brad Scorer and fantastic. Oh, good timing, Daryl. Big spin for McDonald. Got a little bit out of shape trying to close down on the Polo, the Super Cup Polo, and then just backs the car off the circuit completely before he's going to turn it around. Good driving there from Doug McDonald to stay out of harm's way. A little bit sideways as well from the Nash. I wonder if there's something put down on the track there that might possibly be a concern. No, there's no concern there. They've all come through and are not phased by it. I think McDonald just maybe got a little bit too happy on the loud pedal coming out of the final corner there at Dunlop and just looped it out all on his own. Dropped him back down the field a bit there, so he's going to have to do a bit of work to make up that ground now. Let's have a look at it in a replay. He comes up on the inside. I think maybe, yeah, he's just gone a little bit too hard on the loud pedal there. Just looped it all on his own. 29 car there, McDonald with Shelby Can-Am, just to then make its way across the circuit and tries to stay out of harm's way, gets off the racing line as quickly as possible as well. So good driving there from McDonald to get it out of harm's way and off the circuit before the rest of the pack came through, and then he was able to get back on track. Ritz doing the initial part of this stint. And then behind him, it's the Lily Latlaka who's sitting in 2nd place on the road at the moment. About 25 seconds down on Franco Scribante, who still continues to lead out. Fastest lap out of Scribante so far, a 1 minute flat, 0.340. That's how it stands at this point in time. McDonald making up that ground now, goes around the Wright Motorsport and People Group Cobra. About to be closed down though by the Volkswagen Motorsport Polo GTI of the hard-charging Daniel Rowe. Daniel Rowe at this point in time, as I said, has moved up to 3rd place overall, but is quite a long way up the road from Brad Scorer in the Bucket List Racing Super Cup Polo, which of course is what the original car, that car, was built, and all the jigs and everything that was built around that car, of course, have then been put together to create a class of nearly 16 cars that will be in action next weekend at the East London Grand Prix circuit, with the next round of Global Touring Cars and Global Touring Cars Super Cup category. We'll be racing at the National Extreme Festival next weekend. Gerald Bass getting the blue flag there, just being warned that Zulili Latlaka is coming along for the ride. He's made him go around the highway, a long way around Dunlop Curve. Ritz has let him through relatively unscathed, no worries for him. And Ritz about to be caught now by Danielson. Ritz is 8th on track. Danielson, of course, sitting at the moment in, he's about 3rd place overall. Yes, 3rd overall. about to close down on that 8th place car to take its first lap away from him. McDonald has recovered nicely, but he's still got a bit of work to do to catch up to the back end of Scorer, where he was fighting with earlier on. Nice driving there from Roots, just opens up the door ever so slightly and allows Rowe through. Daniel takes up that opportunity and cements it through Hanger. Makes it stick eventually there in Hanger. The Nash Sports, the Zenith sponsored Nash Sports. A small issue yesterday which they managed to sort out, fortunately keeping an old spare part at in the toolbox, which he was able to then use to his advantage and of course get it into race trim again for the first part of today's racing. And so far it's going according to plan for them, so I'll be looking forward to more of the same throughout the day. So heading up towards the top of the hill and into the hairpin goes Zolile Tlaka, followed by Roy Aubrey. Closing onto the back end of one of the BMW drivers. "12 laps completed. We've still got a relatively long way to go in this 3-hour endurance. Daniel Sun now closing on the back end of the Porsche of Roy Aubrey. He's got Gerald Bass behind him as they head towards turn 1. True Turn Lotta sharing the 135 BM. Cape Town based drivers made their way up to PE for this one. Never miss out on an event, those guys. They really put on an effort to be at all the races that they can be at. Verdicimo Tavares has moved up to 13th place overall. He's now the 3rd Porsche on track, and he's sitting in 3rd place in terms of those Porsches, just behind Sun Woodley and Momia, who are sharing that car. Sun at the wheel of the car at the moment for Toys R Us. The birthday boy, Kwame McQueen, has just joined us. Happy birthday for the other day, my man. Good to have you here. I thought I got that whiff of expensive male cologne coming into the studio for about 2 seconds there, but there he is. Joined us for this part of the race, and thanks for your support, brother. We appreciate it. And as I said, happy birthday for a couple of days ago. So nice to see you celebrating another year on the planet, bud. We appreciate you being around. It's really cool to have you here. So Lila so far has not put a wheel wrong. He's really piloting that little 650G to good purpose to be at the front end here. Battle between the Cobras further back. Looks like Duncan Dos Rice has got that car sorted out now, and he's going to be fighting hard with the Hiram Pretorius boys. Hiram Pretorius and his boys, I should say. This championship. Great start to the championship as a whole. Haven't seen much of Scribante, but it's because he's squeezing in between traffic all the way around the track, just staying up the front end of this race. 60 seconds on the dot, 0.340. He's the fastest lap out of that Chevron so far. And then it's the McLaren in 2nd place of the Tlaka. Not sure sure what's going on with my timing monitor, but it keeps flipping in and out of... I'm going to give it to Paul just to see if he can sort it out. Paul, if you don't mind, I'm going to hand you that just to sort it out. It keeps flipping between the SAGTRA results and the SAES results. I don't know why. Maybe there's a setting on Speed Hive that I haven't hit properly there. We'll just do a reboot on it and start it again. But there is our leader. I haven't seen him for a while, but as I said, he's usually a wily old fox who just gets in between the traffic, in and out, and you hardly ever see him, but he just maintains good pace all the time to stay ahead of this pack of cars. And he'll be looking to do probably about an hour and a half or so before he hands over to his teammate Jason Campos to finish it up. We've had a victory yesterday from that team. We've also had a victory from his cousin today in the SAGTRA series. Aldo Scribante getting his first win of the championship. Thank you, Desiree. Yeah, we worked that out. The timing monitor unfortunately was a little bit on the blink there, so I wasn't getting exactly who was behind each of the cars, but then eventually it sorted itself out, and yes, it is Daniel's son who is at the front and driving the first stint there for the Volkswagen Motorsport GTI team. Reggie Roots is there too, closing down on Truta and Lotta. Tavares slowly but surely closing onto the back end of them. He's got a lot of ground to make up after that spin and touch between the Volkswagen Polo GTI from Volkswagen Motorsport, that blue car coming in the background, and the Porsche at that point of the circuit as well. Zolile through on the Bucket List Racing Super Cup Polo. Continues to circulate nicely around there in the people group and Wright Motorsport Cobra. Looks like they've got that car sorted out now. McDonald onto the tail of another low-slung sports car, the Nash Sport. And at this point it's Gerald Bass at the wheel. He'll be handing over to Andrew Horn a bit later on. See how things pan out here in this first part of the race. And all these drivers will be looking to do is keep an eye out for potential safety car scenarios, or they've got their plans in place as to exactly what they want to do for pit stop strategies. Pending on traffic, pending on conditions out there, pending on whether the faster cars are catching the slower ones. That is third place Daniel Rowe going through on a group of Cobras and coming up on the back end of Rob Clark in the Mini. Bucket List Racing Mini there. And also take into account, Speed Hive seems to have gotten a little bit of an issue, so we've gone across to Race Monitor, give us a little bit of extra look and feel of how things are going, so I can just get everything right. So apologies for, I was looking at drivers and looking at helmets as much as I could, but Speed Hive was definitely on the blink there. And apologies for getting some of the drivers wrong there initially, but we've now got up and running. Hopefully I've got them all right now. McDonald now moving up into what is 7th place on track. He's just got through on Gerald Bass, so he's overtaken there for position on base. And watching out in the background for that Porsche to come flying through as well. Son Mudley controlling things in the 69 Toys R Us car. About to be caught. And a lap put into him by Zolile Latlaka. McLaren 650S GT3. Chevron B26 leads out. John Cooper Works Mini there in the mid-pack. Overtaken by the leader. 2 Cobras behind him. The 21 car. There's Duncan Dos Rice, if I'm not mistaken, in the 21 car. I'll just pick and see. No, Richard Van Heerden is actually at the wheel of that car at the moment, but Douglas Rice is sharing that car as well, and he's fighting there with Han Pretorius. This is a good little battle to watch out for as well. Mini versus 2 Cobras, and that Mini at this point in time keeping the Cobras at bay. Clark usually participates in the Charlie's Super Spa Historic Pursuit Series, and he's got 2 historic cars on his tail right now from Backdraft Cobra. Well, they're based on a historic car. Those are brand new cars, of course, coming out of the Backdraft Cobra stable of Tony Martin. You'll be asking yourselves as well, if you're a regular watcher to this series, where is Mike McLaughlin in the big Cobra? Unfortunately, they had problems yesterday and blew an engine. Weren't able to get it fixed in time, and of course they've got a brand new car which they're looking to debut in East London at the next round of this championship. So keep your eyes and ears on social media, and on, if you're a Backdraft Cobra fan, on their Facebook page for news about that new giant killing Cobra that Mike McLaughlin has told me all about. We're piloting that with Brian Martin, of course, his teammate. And at the East London Grand Prix circuit, a fast Cobra is always a good thing to have beneath you. The idea is that they need to be fast enough to try and beat out Scribante, Racetrack and Rowe if they can. Looking at the way things are going at the moment with that graphic on the left-hand side, it's Franco Scribante who leads out Class S. Zolila Racetrack leading the GT3 category. Class B, it's Daniel Rowe ahead of Brad Scorer. Class T will be the Haval 996 Porsche of Roy Aubrey. He'll be out there only for the first hour, so he'll drop out of the proceedings by the time that first hour comes up. Doug McDonald leads out Class O. Class V is Gerald Bass at this point in time. Tavares is second place in the GT3 category. And then we get to the first of the Class E's, which is the Cobras. Rechard Ritz ahead of Gerald Wright. Aaron Pretorius in third place. Third in GT3 will be Sun Mudley in that car. In shot right now, the Toys R Us Porsche. He's picking up on Steve Truter, who of course is Class F, the only other category we've got racing out there at the moment. BMW at this point in time, sitting down in 15th place overall, but leading his class. Come on, KWT Engineering BMW, East London represented. Chatty, we like your enthusiasm, buddy. Thank you so much. It's good to see those boys are giving it everything they can. They really have put on a good show this weekend, those boys, and it's great to have them as part and parcel of this series. The 2 BMWs, the local ones. Yeah, and there's a question from Kyle Aftermarket Cousins. Where are all the other Cobras? There's usually a huge field of them. The problem that we had with Carl is they become COVID Cobras. We've got a couple of Cobras teams that have been hit with the COVID pandemic, and it's cost them the opportunity to come down here. There are also a couple of cars who haven't suffered with the pandemic, but have suffered due to the pandemic with budget constraints, and that's understandable. So apologies to the Cobra fans for the lack of the field, but there's still some quality Cobras in there. And still pushing hard for Cobra class overall for 2021 as well. So yes, and unfortunately we have got a couple of Cobras who haven't made it onto the grid here this weekend. But hopefully by the time we get to East London, then it will change up again and we'll have them all back in full force. As I said, there is a good possibility of a debut from the Backdraft Cobra team of their new Cobra Monster that Mike McLaughlin and Brian Martin will be looking to pilot and take on the top end of the field. Another car that's notably missing, which a lot of people probably haven't picked up on, is the Stradale Motorsport car of Charles Arungi's and his teammate Ari Neveling. The problem that they had was through this section yesterday, it turned out to be a bit of a fireball again, and the Gallardo burst into flames with no warning whatsoever on Ari Neveling as he was in the thick of it for about lap 10 in race 3 yesterday. And unfortunately, the burnt-out car has now passed on the nickname to Arungi's of no longer Charles, but charcoal oranges. Because that Lamborghini just seems to burst into flames on a number of occasions. I think it's the third occasion that that's burst into flames. So I know that Harry Oranges has already said to me after yesterday evening's finish that the team is waiting to get that car back to the Stradale enclosure in V-Town to strip it down and do a full rebuild to get it ready, possibly in time for East London Grand Prix circuit. And the 1st, 2nd and 3rd of October is when we head down to that historic track in East London, just up the road here from PE. Fast car coming up on some slower ones. That's Zulile de Klerk catching Doug McDonald. He's in a bit of a fight of his own there with Aubry. And the Haval Edenvale Porsche man is just looking to survive the first hour. We're half an hour into it, 2.5 hours to go. And that's how things stand at this point. He's got half an hour to go there in the Porsche. The rest of the drivers on track have got 2.5 hours of racing still to be sorted out on the black stuff here at Aldo Scribante. If you've never been down to what was originally known as Port Elizabeth, now known as Quebec, it's known as the Friendly City or as the Windy City, and of course the wind has definitely come into play here today. If you look at current conditions, just do a little refresh here on the app and see how things are going. We've got a 32 km/h wind blowing, 63% humidity, so it looks like it's ideal for hopefully no rain. And I don't see any fronts coming from either side where they usually come from, so we should be cool in terms of clear conditions until the end of today's racing. We started just after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so we're looking to finish up just after 7 o'clock this evening, so it will be into the dark for the last part of this race. And lights are on in about an hour's time. In fact, lights will be on in about 40 minutes time, in fact, because at 5:30 there is a compulsory lights on for all cars. Graham Aubry's in the house, one of SA's finest supermoto riders, and his dad, of course, is behind the wheel there of one of our sponsored cars, the 996 Porsche from Haval Edenvale. And he, of course, is the man who has also sorted out with Haval Port Elizabeth for us to get that GWMP Series double cab and single cab to use as the pace car and course car for today. Cobra's under attack now from the McLaren of de Klerk, as well as the lead car. Haven't seen him for a while, but he's now popped in there all of a sudden to come and say hi. And there comes Franco Scribante, about to come and lap Zulile de Klerk for the first time today. So it could be a possibility that the lead car has now lapped everybody on the track. And that may happen a few times here today as well. Franco knows just how to time it. He's got that so much more power than most of the cars out there. So majority of the time he's pretty patient in his attempt to get through on back markers because he knows he cannot afford to take a risk. Well, Aubry's into pit lane as I say that. Maybe just coming in for a bit of a refuel of himself. A quick check on the car. He runs Pirelli tyres on that car. And we've got to say a massive thanks to, of course, Roy Aubry and his team at Haval Edenvale. Because not only do they support us with the vehicles on track, but they also support myself and Gary van der Spey and some of the team from South African Endurance Series to get down here in the big rig that tows the Porsche up and down the country for races that we've got. There you can see Charles Oranges on the sideline and putting his mask on there to ensure that he sticks with the COVID rules. Good job there. I think it was Harry who actually told him, listen, put your mask on, you're going to get us into trouble. Yeah, it was for a refuel of himself, I think. Roy took a bit of strain yesterday, as I said. He was battling with a bit of cramp, and they readjusted the seat for him in that Porsche at Stradale Motorsport to make sure that he could participate in this afternoon's 3-hour. Daniel Rowe maintains third place. As he comes up onto the back end of the Nash Sport, going through there. Gerald Bass at the wheel of the Nash Sport at the moment, just getting past Rob Clark in the Mini Cooper from Fast Developments and Bucketless Racing. McDonald's still ahead of the two Cobras. Oh, it's actually Chris Pretorius. I beg your pardon. Chris Pretorius at the wheel of that car at the moment. Oh, that's a big moment. That's a huge one. That's Sun Mudley with no back right wheel. Something's gone wrong on that Toys R Us Porsche, and it's in a very dangerous position. So, very good possibility that we're going to see the P-Series truck come out on track for the first time today. You can see Sun should be staying in the car. He's trying to get out of it, though. It looks like it's through Chevy Sweep. Daryl, am I right there? So, through Chevy Sweep, he's lost the back right wheel. And if my friend Brendan Kelly arrives here with milkshakes and didn't bring one for me, he's going to be in massive trouble. Massive trouble. I can't even tell you. I will never mention his name on the live stream video ever again, as he arrives here with strawberry milkshakes and goes up the stairs as if I said nothing. I can't believe that. No, I'm joking, Brent. I'm joking. There we go. The big pickup is on its way. That's the single cab version of the P-Series. We've also got the double cab and Sun out of harm's way. That's good to see. And he's had such bad luck this year. But there is a man who puts his money where his mouth is, as well as his entire heart and passion for South African motorsport. And he's also a man who, of course, was the sponsor of our first round of this championship with the Bigfoot Express Freight and Toys R Us event at the East London Grand Prix circuit. So he's definitely going to be upset about the fact that the back right wheel of that car has come off somehow. We didn't unfortunately pick up the incident at the start, but I would assume that either the wheel has come loose on its own, or maybe Sun may have put a wheel on the dirt to work it loose. But under safety car now. Just got to say a massive thanks to Ian Riddle, who's driving that course car. He'll be hooking that Porsche up and pulling it out of harm's way. Such a pity to lose that car. It's a really competitive little category car in its own class. And Mudley at this point in time was 13th overall, so unlucky for some that time. And he was sitting third place in GT3. You know, I think there possibly some kind of fluid out of the back of that car as well, because of it being and hitting the ground. Something might have broken on a pipe or something, and that's caused a bit of issues with some fluid on the circuit. They'll get that sorted out hopefully quickly. But unfortunately, it is a situation that we have to deal with a full course caution and safety car. You may see a couple of guys coming into pit lane now to use the advantage of the slower laps of a safety car. Everything gets slowed down, particularly at the area where the incident is. Just want to see how far back that Shelby is, and also how far back the Chevron is too, from the back end of that P-Series double cab. Now, it could be a little bit early for pit stops. Paul's just whispering in my ear there, because they've only been running for about 40 minutes. But some of the teams, I'm not talking about the lead team, some of the sort of lower teams with the three drivers might decide to come in for a bit of a splash and dash, put a quicker driver in and see if they can get someone in. There is the wheel of the Porsche, and unfortunately came off. Can literally say, unfortunately, Sun Mudley was driving the wheels off that car. As I said, a man who puts a huge amount of effort into motorsport in South Africa by supporting big events, and also his own team. Unfortunately, his own team was destroyed unceremoniously in those very tragic times a couple of weeks ago, when South Africa was under the siege of the people that were looting unceremoniously all around the country. Coming into pit lane, we've got a couple of cars, one of them being the Cobra. Looks like also in the background, could that be Zolile Tlaka? It is. The Tlaka coming into pit lane. I know I've got Gary van der Spey down in pit lane. I might be able to hand down to Gary and find out exactly what's going on. That's an unscheduled stop down there, Gary. Maybe give us a little insight as to what's happening there.
One of the leaders, P2, coming to the pits, Cornelia Leclerc in the McLaren 650 GT for taking advantage of the safety car. So they're splashing in some fuel and hopefully get them going. These guys burn about 20 liters of fuel a lap. That's how much fuel they're consuming. So that car goes through a lot of fuel. As you'll see, they've got a blanket just underneath the refueler who's standing on the track side of the car. The guy on the far side of the car with the helmet on, that you can see the white helmet, he's got the release valve, so that releases the air as the fuel pumps in. The moment they finished, they will both pull away and the car will be able to go again. And at this stage, pit lane is closed. Whoa, stalled. They have to get a battery jumper. Okay, let's see if they can get it back up. He's trying to stuck in a gear. There he goes. Right, battling to get it started. Okay, there she fires up. But he's going to be held at the end of pit lane because the pit lane is closed. And, well, back to the guys upstairs in the studio.
Well, Gary, I'm not quite sure our pit lane is closed because the pit lane should be open during a safety car scenario, so I'm not quite sure why that pit lane has closed. They're holding him back because he has to form up with a new rule for this outing, and that, of course, is that he has to form up at the back of the train. So he's not allowed out of the pit box until that train has come through, and then they'll release him and put him at the back. So the reason for that is to try and avoid cars coming out and possibly tagging each other on the exit point when they're trying to make up ground. Because usually what happens is the cars that are not directly behind the safety car that have been in pit lane will have an ability to go a bit quicker, and by that it allows them. There you go. So he slots in behind his rival. First and second are now second, last and first at the back of the field. Franco Scribante must have come into pit lane as well, because he's now dropped to second place. I don't know how Daniel Rowe overtook him. I don't know if that's correct, Paul. I'm just double checking there on the timing monitor, but it says Daniel Rowe is now leading. So I assume that if that's the case, then Franco Scribante must have come in for a splash and dash as well to get a bit more fuel on the car and give him an opportunity to get there. And I would say if he's at the back of the pack, that's exactly what happened. I don't know if Gary can hear me down there, and if he can, maybe just find out from the Scribante team if that was the case. We didn't see him come into pit lane. But with the way things are at this stage, with Franco at the back and Zolile behind him in terms of second last and first last, or last, I would assume that Franco came in for a splash and dash as well. Precision Towing giving us the flatbed to remove the Porsche from the circuit. Rest of the car is just circulating at the moment. All of these laps count behind the safety car. And right now you have Volkswagen Motorsport leading things out in the Polo GTI. See how far up the road they are. On this shot you can see it's the Nash behind the Mini. Behind the Mini it's two Cobras and the Polo Cup Super GTI. Let's say that again. It's the Polo Super Cup GTI. Behind that it's another Cobra. Two in the Porsche of Aubry, Shelby Cannon, McDonald's. Torius's Cobra, and then you've got Scribante. So it's about 10 cars they've got to make up in the restart to catch Daniel Rowe and retake the lead. So Lila has also fallen behind Brad Scorer in that pit stop. Shouldn't be too much of an issue though for the McLaren and that Chevron to make their way back to the front relatively unscathed after their decisions to come in for an early pit stop and a bit of a splash and dash for the two cars that were at the first and second place in this race. Toys R Us Porsche is on the back of the flatbed making its way back into pit lane, and now it's just a case of the marshals getting onto track to do a bit of a track cleanup before we go racing again, and before that P-Series double cab gets pulled back into pit lane. Lartacon's on his tail, then it's the 21 car of Richard van Heerden. And of course those two cars will be looking to try and get a little bit of a advantage of that first and second place behind the safety car. biggest advantage at the moment is Daniel Rowe in third. If he times it right, you can hopefully get a little bit of a margin and try and maintain the lead for at least a couple of laps more for Volkswagen Motorsport. We got the official results slightly wrong yesterday in our live stream on ILEB. It said that it was Lartichon and Tavares who had taken third place, but on recalculation and looking at the timing monitor at the end of the race, it was actually the Volkswagen Motorsport team that came through for third overall. They also took index of performance, and the index of performance was 92%. And they were closely followed by the Ligier of Rian Botma and Jeff Kruger, who, as I just say that, have also gone missing. I didn't see Botma and Kruger on track at all yet. And it's definitely something that I was looking for earlier on, and of course with all the action that we've seen so far, I don't think they started, Paul. So the Ligier with some problems there. Change of surface flag on the right hand side there just to warn the drivers that that inside line where Sun's Porsche had parked did have a bit of debris out of it. Some fluid of some nature that dropped onto the circuit, which they are addressing at the moment and continue to address because we're still going for another lap under the safety truck. So we've got Tavares, Van Heerden, Rowe, Base, Chris Pretorius and Rob Clark, Richard Rutz, Gerald Wright, Roy Aubrey, Doug MacDonald, Hiram Pretorius, Franco Scribante, Zolile Tlaka, and at the back of that is the BMW of Steve Trutter. Oh, no, it's Byron Pretorius at the wheel of that orange Cobra now. He's taken over from Hiram. But it'll be Rob Green in the BMW E37 that is out there as well. 237 and E36. That's how it stands. Oh, you see now, my good friend Brendan is just amazing. The strawberry milkshake is being delivered, and what an amazing effort there from the Chingachino Coffee Boys. They are here giving us a great support. Thanks, Bren. You're amazing, bro. This is going to go down like a bomb. I can't even tell you. Strawberry milkshake in me is like the biggest drug I have. So I can't go wrong with that. Thanks, Clayton. I appreciate it, buddy. That's awesome. Right, so let's have a look at things are going. It's Daniel Rowe leading things out in Class B ahead of Scribante, and he's at the back of the pack as we're about to go racing. The safety truck has been pulled in, and we're back under full race conditions heading into the almost end of the first hour. We've got 48 minutes of racing completed, and we had a safety car scenario on track due to the fact that we had a big incident with a Porsche losing its wheel through Chevy sweep. Sun Moodley was at the wheel at the time of the Porsche losing its wheel. And watch for rapid maneuvering here from Scribante to try and make his way through this pack now that the green lights are back on and we've got green all the way around the circuit. This will be a bit of a baptism here for Tavares. Oh, and there goes Daniel Rowe off track as well. I think those Dunlops might need a little bit of extra heat in them, but a little mistake there from Danielson. He recovers nicely, doesn't lose a position in his attempt to get to the front, but he was pushing really hard to catch Tavares in the Porsche. He's already come together with Tavares right in the initial parts of this race. So he's now going to try and catch and pass him again. It's not for position on track, it's just for the outright position leading on this lap as opposed to being the position on track, because Tavares is down in 5th place overall. Tavares from Rowe, Rowe from Base, Base from Scribante, who dives up the inside of Van Heerden. Van Heerden giving way there to the quicker car. Scorer coming along for a ride as well to try and find his way past the red Cobra. And gets that done as they go down towards turn 1. Gerald Wright looking to do the same thing to get through and bringing along for the ride Aubrey on his tail. Zolile Tlaka has got through on a couple of the cars, but not as many as the lead car of Scribante. He's looking to close down on Daniel Rowe. Daniel Rowe at the moment is leading. But remember, Scribante's trying to... Oh, there it is. Danielson. I don't know what happened there. He just kind of got caught out by turning in at the wrong point. Maybe he was watching something on the dash and realized in the corner that he was not at the right point to turn in. And they're very lucky to catch that one and bring it back on track. Watching in the background for Zolile Letlaka to make up some ground now. He's got 4 Cobras and a Shelby Can-Am to get through. Scribante up the inside to retake the lead. And he'll take the lead on the road as well as he comes down that straightaway and blasts past Tavares by the time they get down onto the braking point. So it is Scribante who resumes the lead of this race after a little splash and dash to make sure that everything was right in the car while we had a safety car scenario. He came in for a refuel, got that out of the way so he doesn't have to go in again until he has to hand over to Jason Campos a bit later on, barring any other issues. It's Daniel Rowe into second place now. Scorer is in third, but Rowe's got to try and find a way through there on the Porsche. Scorer's got to try and find a way through on the Nash. So it's a bit of a fight out here for the slightly lower class saloon cars. Class B are second and third place overall on track, and they've certainly proved their worth. Have the Bucket List Racing's Polo, it's a Super Cup Polo of Scorer and Patamba, coming out of Bucket List Racing and Fast Developments. Of course, you've seen multiple podiums out of Team Perfect Circles, Andre Besaidnout and Saul Hack. Getting information from Gary down in pit lane as well. Rian Botma and Jeff Kruger's car unfortunately was a non-starter due to the fact that they broke a crank sensor on the Honda engine in that Ligier. It's such a pity to miss him because Jeff Kruger was putting in lap times equal to the top 2 cars here last night, so definitely would have been in contention for another podium, possibly even for a win. Is now being caught and passed by Daniel Rowe. This time a little bit easier. Didn't have to force his way through. I know the COC came to get some footage of that. Maybe there was a bit of a call there from the Porsche team to say, hang on guys, what's going on there between the Porsche and the Polo? Cobras are on the house and they're out there thick and fast. 4 of them all fighting for honours behind Rechard Rutz, who leads out that category at the moment. Donald is in class O. He's on his own, but he's behind Rechard Rutz on the road, down in 9th place, last of the single-digit cars. Rutz about to catch and pass him and take a lap on him. And with about 6 or so minutes to go, Roy Obrey will be looking forward to coming in and this weekend's racing as part of our endurance race contenders. B26 Chevron. It's a twin Hayabusa engine in that engine bay. In a V8 configuration. Absolutely amazing technology that went into the build of that car. And now becoming a very, very good campaigner for back-to-back titles in this championship. We've got some viewers here on Facebook joining us. I'm sure we've got some on up to 60 seconds as well as on iLEB. If you are making comments there, I know that Paul is watching for comments on one of the feeds. On my page, I've just got guys watching. I haven't had any comments yet, so if you have got any things that you want to throw at me, feel free. We'll try and get that information if we can. Heading up towards Hangar, and probably looking for about four laps or so before he has to bring that Oval Edenvale Porsche 996 GT3 Cup car into the pits to complete his weekend's double victory. Ooh, a little wide there from Gerald Bass, putting a wheel on the dirt. Nash Sport doing top job as always. His teammate Andrew Horn looking forward to getting in the car a bit later on. Rob Green about to be caught and passed by the leader, Franco Scribante. Gives up some room. Scribante dives on his inside. KWT Motoring Engineering. Nice run from them. There's a bit of support on the sideline, and Charlie, they're still going well, buddy. Hope you're still enjoying all the action that we're bringing you here. And remember, please like and share this to all of your own social media posts so that we can grow this footprint. Hopefully get a couple of sponsors involved to back us with the production. Gerald Wright into pit lane. Refuel on the car. Possible driver change as well. Let's see if they're going to do a driver change. He's kept his helmet on and he's pulled the bonnet off, so he must be concerned about something going wrong technically on that car. They're going to refuel it just in case. McDonald all over the back of the Nash. The base fending off the attack coming from the Shelby Can-Am. The Nash Sports that Matt Nash and his company have built are really competitive little cars. I think that's a V6 Nissan powered Shelby Can-Am on their tail, and finding it very difficult to overtake him shows what a great little concept that car is. Straight line speed might just battle a bit against the Nissan V6. And I think we see McDonald just diving through there and cementing that position to get ahead. 2.5 minutes to go for that car. Before we should see a checkered flag for him. It is a driver change. And that looks like Philip Mayer climbing into the car there to take over. The duties from Gerald Wright. So just checking something under that bonnet. McDonald is now through, although it looks like the back end of that car might be a little squirrely. Maybe we might have a slow puncture or some kind of issue on the back end because it's starting to sort of slip and slide. Thanks, Nick Joseph. We appreciate your support, buddy. Yeah, it would be awesome to be here trackside. We can't wait for the opportunity to have live audience and some spectators back at events again. But I don't think it's going to stop us from doing the live stream as well, because we do appreciate the fact that we can be interactive with you as well. All the way from Bulawayo. The Bulawayo Bombers just joined me on my page. Darren Winterboer is in the house. And he, of course, is supporting the team that he drove for. These guys, Bucketless Racing. Tavares sitting in 5th place, just behind Zolila Letlaka, who's just overtaken him. And taking a lap away from that driver. Coming up on the other BMW. Truta and Lotta. TV Truta at the wheel of that one at the moment. Overtaken yet again by the McLaren and about to be caught and passed by the Porsche as well as they head towards turn 1. We've got about 30 seconds to go there for the hour to be up. And once that hour's up, we'll see the 996 GT3. No, it's the red and white one. It's the red and white one there. That's the 5 car. We'll try and find him somewhere on track there before he comes across the line to finish up the hour. There it comes. So probably on his last lap here for Roy Aubrey for a double victory in the hour endurance race, part and parcel of the first hour of each of these races. No, not this one. The one that was coming towards the hairpin. He's going into Chevy now. So if you keep an eye on the red and white Porsche, that's the one we need. Thanks, Daryl. Picked up perfectly there, coming out of Hangar. Up towards Dunlop Curve for the last time and should be standing by for a checkered flag. That's if they put the checkered flag out. They didn't put it out last night, so we might not see the checkered flag there for Roy. But he should be taking a checkered flag now. They haven't put one out, but of course the team will then pull him in as he's completed the hour and he's taken the victory. So Stradale Motorsport will just notify their driver and say, right, you can come in. Your job's done. And it was a good job because you've taken the hour of victory in both races this weekend. Massive thanks to, of course, Roy again for the assistance that he gives from Haval Edenvale, and of course all the Haval dealerships that are in conjunction with him and partnership with him with this series of racing. We are supplied a magnificent P-Series double cab and single cab this weekend to use as our pace car and as our course car. So a big thanks to the team at Haval Port Elizabeth. About to be caught and passed by the leader, but he of course is going to roll in the pit lane. When you watch that as he comes around, he'll realize that it is Scribante coming. One factor that you've got to take into account with this kind of racing, with low-slung sports cars, saloon cars, single-seaters and the likes thereof that are participating here this weekend. Okay, he stayed out for a lot longer than what he thought. I think he's waiting for that checkered flag, but maybe they need to tell him to come on in. Just going back to my thought there, between saloon cars and sports cars, Cobras and supercars, the height differential between each of those cars and where you sit in the cockpit of them sometimes is a big factor. If you're in a saloon car like Truta is at the moment, it's very difficult unless you get some big flashing lights from the likes of the lead car or you know, for instance the Shelby Can-Am. Good possibilities that of course they sometimes aren't spotted in time, so you've got to be very wary when you're coming up on saloon cars if you're in a sports car. Howard Blake is saying go Andrew. Which Andrew do you want, eh? Do you think it'll be Andrew Horn? But it's not Andrew Horn at the moment, Howard. Right now I think it's Gerald Bass behind that wheel, but there he is, right on cue for you there, Howard. Why aren't you racing and why aren't you here? You should be here, buddy. I hope you weren't hit with the COVID as well. If you were, I wish you a speedy recovery. Right, is Campos Aubrey going to be coming in this time? No, he's not. Yes, there, I think there was some kind of checkered flag that just got waved at him. Was it a blue flag? It should have been a checkered flag. Lindy Skippers. She's loving number 135 out there. We love 135 as well, buddy. So it's a bit of a fight on at the moment between these guys. Number 135 is Steve Truta. I think Lindy's the lady who's staying with us at the same hotel. Huh? I think that's a possibility, it's her. If it is, we love your work, man. Gotta tell you, this milkshake is amazing. Brendan Kelly, you are a legend. And so is Clayton from our coffee shop here. Love it. Scribante, Rowe, Zolila, Clark are your top three. It's Class S, Class B, Class GT3, making up the three top steps of the podium so far for overall. Daniel Rowe starting to make his way back into the thick of the Cobras now. Trying to find a way past there on Reggie. Somebody's put something down there in the middle of the track by the looks of it, Paul. I think that was new that I saw through the exit point of Chevy there, or it might have just been the sun glistening on what looked like a wet patch, but it might just be like that patch there where the drag racing starts, and there's just a bit of smooth tar there. We'll keep an eye on it though. There we go, on cue. Thanks for that, Paul. So it's Class S at the front with Franco Scribante behind the wheel. He leads overall ahead of Daniel Rowe, who is first in Class B. XO in third place in the GT3s, leading that category. Second in Class B and fourth on the track is Bucketless Racing's Chris Pretorius. Chris Pretorius, beg your pardon. It is Brad Scorer behind the wheel of the Bucketless Racing machine at this point in time. Then it's Verissimo Tavares, second in the GT3 category in the Porsche, in fifth overall. Leading Cobra is Richard Rutz. Doug McDonald in the Shelby leads Class O, and of course seventh place overall. Chris Pretorius down in eighth place is third in Class B. And Richard Van Heerden is second in the Cobras and ninth overall on the track, with Class V being led out there by Gerald Bass. Class T is now done and dusted for the Haval Edenvale Porsche. You'll see he'll start to drop by the wayside, out of contention. He's currently down in 13th overall there for Roy Aubrey, but then of course it's Steve Truta who leads out Class F in his BMW. So that's how things stand at this point in time. So we'll keep an eye on those as we get into the thick of it now. Hour and 5 minutes done. A little bit of smoke coming out of the back of the Cobra there, or do you just maybe get into some dirty stuff on the track? That might be the issue as well. It is. It's Philip Meyer coming into pit lane. It was some smoke, and he hits the brakes to come into the chicane, into the pit lane. So it looks like there might be another issue there on the Gerald Wright Motorsport and People Group Cobra. I know Gary's down in pit lane. Maybe he can pick up on what's exactly going down there with that Cobra. And it's pulling straight into the box, never mind onto the apron. So there must be something really wrong if Philip May has decided to pull that thing into the box and not even pull it onto the apron to see if there's a possibility of fixing whatever the issue might be. I don't know if Gary heard my commentary down there. Maybe you can just go and find out what's happening at the People Group Cobra team. Aubrey's in. And they're sending him out again. Oh no, they're sending him around to the back. Back to the transporter. There we go. Indicating right. Let's load that Porsche onto the back of the trailer and get it home. Here's your lead car. Frank Scribante at the wheel. Enjoying every moment behind the wheel of that B26. His teammate, Mr. Campos, spoke to us last night and said he absolutely loves this car. Didn't even look like he'd broken a sweat last night when he climbed up the car after an hour and 40 minutes. He said it's that incredible to drive. It's coming up on Trutter. Shouldn't be too much of an issue there for that overtaking maneuver into the final corner with the leader coming up on the back end of them. Still going to Trutter make some room. We'll get the lights flashing from Scribante and blasted past as he comes down the straight. I think Scribante will probably go to look to overtake Rafa Brutz as well and does that into turn 1. Go back to Rob Clark. Currently behind the wheel of the 12. In fact, Chris Pretorius, I don't get that wrong every time now. It's Chris Pretorius behind the wheel of that car at the moment. He's standing in at the stage and doing the initial stint there. Rob Clark will jump in a bit later on, his teammate. Pretorius, Cobra back into pit lane. Possibility of a splash and dash there or a check up on the car. It still says Borrent is behind the wheel. There are 3 drivers in that team, yeah. So they'll have to split the driving. I did hear Harim just before the race starts saying that he was going to do the initial stint and then leave it to the youngsters to fight it on the road. So I don't think we'll see Harim Pretorius back at the wheel of the car. It'll be the 2 younger Pretorius boys that will be going at it. Borrent at the wheel at the moment. Another lap to be taken back here from our lead car on what was second place but is now third place. Zulile Tlaka. Into Africa Mining and Daytona Group. Stradale Motorsports. Oh, Pretorius has got a problem. Hand up there for Borrent Pretorius, and that allows Danielson through. It allows Richard van Heerden through. Looks like Bass and McDonald will get through as well. To see if that orange Cobra peels back into pit lane. Whatever the issue is that he came in for hasn't been sorted out. It could possibly be costing him lots of time. Yeah, he stays on the right-hand side, which gesticulates to me that he's going to be going back into the pit box, and he is. Lead car of Scribante is heading down the main straightaway. He's got 3 cars going side by side into turn 1. So it might be a case of a bit of patience required here from Franco Scribante, which is exactly what he'll do. He's overtaken Zulile Tlaka and taken another lap back on 3rd place McLaren out of Stradale Motorsport. Pretorius in pit lane, being pushed back in the box. That's certainly not what he wanted. Daniel Son is not holding back, I can tell you that much. Pushing that polo big time, looking to try and make up some ground. I'm sure their strategy will be similar to what they did yesterday, to take that third place overall, but this time they'll be looking to take second place in the Polo GTI. Everybody on 1 foot, please, because it's an hour and 11 minutes, so we're going to go with the cricket rule of Nelson, if you're a superstitious supporter of sport. I don't know if that's the case in motorsport, though, because it doesn't work like Nelson does in cricket, in motorsport. Coming down into turn 1 goes Scorer in the Bucketless Racing Polo Super Cup GTI. BMW in 237. That'll be Rob Green coming in for a scheduled stop by the looks of things. Looks like Volkswagen Motorsport might be standing by for a driver change as well, or at least a pit stop. PR team in pit lane, they're waiting for the possibility of a pit stop there for the Volkswagen Polo. Remember, it is Volkswagen Polo's 25th anniversary this year, and the Polo Cup as well, celebrating 25 years of race action here in South Africa. They head to the East London Grand Prix circuit next weekend. It won't be Daniel Rowe or Keegan Masters at the wheel of any of those cars. They've had their time, and both of them taken championships in that category. Now stepped up into global touring cars. Also taking a championship in the global touring car. A couple of wins in that championship. BMW about to be sent on its way. As I said though, keep an eye out, because there's a possibility that that Volkswagen Polo GTI may be coming in. E36 on its way. Another E36 coming into pit lane. Truter and Lotte's car. Looks like they're waving that car into the box as well, so I wonder if there's an issue on the car there with Steve Truter that they've got to get sorted. Closing in on Pretorius, looking for a way past. Bit of smoke up the road there, which I think is coming from the People Cobra. It is. It's a little bit of a smoking gun out there that we see Philip Mayer behind the wheel of. And that's going to become terminal. There's a lot of smoke coming out of that car now. Seems to be under braking as well, so it might not be a technical issue, it might be a body rub issue or a brake and tyre issue. We'll keep an eye on it though. Definitely a big problem on that car. Smoke coming out of the car. Hopefully no fluid coming out with that smoke. This isn't be affecting Zolile Leclerc at this stage. Ford Mayer didn't see him coming, I don't think. Opens up the door eventually and lets Leclerc through. Exo completing another lap. It's not a healthy Cobra out there, that's for sure. Definitely some kind of an issue on that people group. Gerald Wright Motorsport Cobra. Still massive smoke coming out of that car. I'm sure the COC will be looking at that and might be a bit concerned about it as well. There is confirmation of the results as it stands. Scribante, Rowe and Letlaka, your top three ahead there, Brad Scorer and Tavares in the Porsche. It's record roots behind them with Doug McDonald and Chris Pretorius. Base and Vaneda making up the top 10. Warren Pretorius has made his way up to 11th place now as we see the Gerald Wright car coming into pit lane. It's not Gerald Wright behind the wheel of the car at the moment. Rob Green and the Edenvale Porsche has already pulled to the sideline. Trutter in the pit lane as well. And we've already seen, unfortunately, their son Mudley having to retire the Toys R Us Porsche with a broken wheel coming out of Chevy Sweep. There's our first safety car scenario. Gerald Wright waving the car into the pit box, so there's definitely some kind of an issue that they haven't been able to sort out. Nash versus Shelby versus Mini Cooper. That battle continues as well on track there with Bass and McDonald fighting for honours. They're currently fighting for 7th and 8th place. Chris Pretorius behind him, so that's the battle currently for 7th, 8th and 9th place on track. 3 cars in that battle, all up close and personal with each other. Anna-Marie Pinot and Daryl Ecote have rejoined us here on my feed. I don't know if we've got any comments coming from your side, Paulie. Not quite sure if there's any that are pertinent that we maybe need to look at. Love the interactive format that we've got here with the live stream, where you can interact with us here at the track as if you were here. And give us your comments and your thoughts. Show your support for the drivers that are out on track as well. Scribante coming through there on the Pretorius Cobra. Closing down on Scorer in the Bucketless Racing Super Cup Polo. I think Brad didn't see him coming in time. Might have just blocked him into turn 2. We also passed the 5:30 mark, which means now all the cars have to have their lights on. It looks like they've all gone on for that. They would have seen a lights on board come out. Looks like all of them have now complied with that as well. Let's have a quick look. Coming there, car 23 leaking oil from the oil cooler. And that's what the problem there is on that People Cobra. And refresh here of our current weather conditions as well. Real feel of about 13 degrees Celsius, so ambient temperature is dropping, which means track temperature will be dropping as well. And with the 32 km/h southwesterly that's blowing here, track temperature is going to drop pretty rapidly, which means we're going to be fighting for traction here with the cars and the tyres that they've gone with, and their ability to find traction on this circuit. Because as soon as we get into sort of the 10-degree-an-hour mark, that's where things start to become a bit difficult. Volkswagen Advanced Driving are in the house, and they're saying amazing job so far from Daniel Rowe. Thanks for that, Volkswagen Advanced Driving. If you go to Swartkops and look at the advanced driving facility they've got there, there's a massive picture of Daniel Rowe, of course, on the side of that building, so pretty happy with that. Well, so far so good, yeah, or so far so good for that team. Second place at the moment behind that car of Scribante. He takes another lap back there on Tavares. He stays in 5th place though. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when that pit stop eventually happens and Hein Lartigon gets behind the wheel of that Porsche. And he possibly runs slightly quicker laps than Tavares, his teammate, and possibly spoil the day there for some of the cars further up the field. Zolile Latlaka going to be handing to Chop Sapuka. That'll also be a big factor to take into account as Chop Sapuka gets behind the wheel of the McLaren. Will he be able to make up ground, possibly get that second place back again from Daniel Rowe and Keegan Masters? Oh, top us 5 and it's lights on, and that's right on time. Lights on coming in the building as well. Thanks, Brian. There's 3 different kinds of sports cars making their way down towards turn 1. Chevron B26, Shelby Can-Am, powered by V6 Nissan, and the Nash Sport Special. Matt Nash also celebrated his birthday over the last couple of days, so we wish him all the very best, and hopefully they can give him a nice birthday present with a class victory and maybe a high-up overall as well. Idea of the Scribante average speed. Yes, Pops, you're throwing me in the dark today. Paul's going to work it out for us quickly. He's going to do some calculations, but you've chucked in a couple of these little questions today, haven't you, Pops? Love your work, buddy. Thanks, China. Donald circulating at the moment, still ahead of pace. But, those 2 positions have changed on numerous occasions. Depends on where they are with the faster cars coming through. They are using each other to a bit of an advantage there to make up ground. Look at the ground that the Nash makes up under braking into Dunlop. It's about 127 km/h average lap time. The average lap time for Scribante. Working on calculations here from our up to 60 seconds production team. Sun's starting to set here rapidly. And as we saw yesterday afternoon, when that sun drops behind the skyline, darkness comes in here pretty rapidly as well. So we're going to be in for about an hour of racing in the dark. Fortunately, with our cameras, that will give us a little bit of additional lighting for a while. So Gary's down in pit lane. He's got a bit of information for us. He's just setting things up. As soon as he's ready, Daryl will let me know. I think they're going to be chatting to some of the guys that are battling down there. And there are a couple of teams that are in pit lane that are battling at the moment. So as soon as Gary is sorted out, I think we go to car 23 there, either to Gerald Wright or to Philip Mayer to find out what's going on. I heard from him via WhatsApp that it's car 23 with a bit of an oil leak coming out of the oil cooler, which is why we had big smoke coming out of that car as well. As soon as they're ready to go, Daryl will give me the thumbs up, and I'll hand you down to Gary van der Spey in pit lane to catch up on that information. Looks like we've got a change up. Is it a change in driver in that car? Yes, it is. It's no longer Richard van Heerden behind the wheel. I think we'll get a change of driver. It looks like it might be Duncan Dos Rice, who has taken over the duties there of car 21. We'll get confirmation of that as he goes across the line. Possibility of a driver change as well for the McLaren. Yes, here we go. So Zolile Latlaka has had enough. He's done an hour and 25 minutes. He's going to give about an hour and a half to his teammate Chop Sapuka from just down the road here in Gungu. There they come. Stradale Motorsport. They'll take their time with this pit stop and driver change. You can see Chop's waiting on the sideline. He'll be looking forward to getting into that car for the first time today, other than the warm-up. But Gary's down in pit lane. Let's find out what's going on.
They're pumping in fuel. They do have tyres on standby. Right, car 23 or 123 is just popped in. That's the McLaren 650 GT. He's climbed out. Chop Sapuka is climbing into the car. And then they're busy putting their finished or fuel. Let's see. No, they're going to jack it up. Enough fuel's gone and they're going to change tyres. I think it's a new set of tyres going onto that car if I'm not mistaken. No, it's a set of scrubs going onto the car. So Some scrub tyres going on. That is young Charlotte Range is helping Kolile. Okay, Chopsabuk is in. Buckled in. Kolile's got out of the car limping. We'll try and find out how he's feeling and what he's all about. Bear with us. It was quite a long stint that he did. It was a good hour and 20 odd minutes that he was in the car for. Left hand back, not playing the wheel gate. There, it's off. Team is actually pretty good at their stops, but like I say, sometimes things don't always go the way you want them to. Right, one more tyre to go. Right hand back, and then they'll be up and running, ready to go. Now, for those of you who don't know, Chopsabuka is a multiple champion in South Africa, having driven in production cars and various other forms of racing. Also raced overseas in certain American league cars, fired up, and off he goes. They are going to be chasing for P2. They're having a go with the little Volkswagen Golf at the moment. So that was an interesting pit stop. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Jerry. Picking up on the action there in pit lane. He's actually come out on track just ahead of that Volkswagen Polo GTI of Daniel Rowe. Daniel Rowe still got to make his stop. Possibly in the next couple of minutes, I think we'll see Rowe going into the pit box to hand over to his teammate Keegan Masters. Verisimo Tavares will be looking to come in as well. We're in that window where the pit stop should be happening if you're a two-man team. Most of the teams will be looking to try and use that hour and a half mark as a benchmark to do the changes. McDonald is in to do his driver change. They've got the People machine, the Cobra, going back on track. Hopefully Gerald Wright and his team have been able to find whatever the issue was there. I also saw in the pit lane there was that Andrew Horn waiting by the sideline. It looked like he might be looking to get ready to go. The yellow helmet is pretty easy to spot. Look to see whether or not he can do anything about Doug McDonald, as he's made his pit stop already. 13 degrees Celsius, the real field at the moment. Still about 32 k an hour winds and 67% humidity, so no changes in the weather conditions over the last half an hour. But what you will certainly have found, as Nick Joseph is saying, Chopsabuka do us proud, is that the track temperature is dropping rapidly. The actual physical temperature on the circuit, the tarmac temperature, dropping rapidly as we're getting into the cooler conditions here this evening. And that will be a major factor on tyres. There's no smoke coming out of that car at the moment, so that's a good sign. But he's about to have another lap put into him there by Rechard Rutz. A bit of a battle there in that Gerald Wright prepped car. Wright Motorsport and People Group Cobra. Chopsabuka about to come and overtake both of them. Behind that is Duncan Dos Rice, and then it's the Polo GTI. Still no indication from the pit wall there from Volkswagen Motorsport's point of view to say to Danielson, come on in. And Daniel Rowe, of course, will be looking to stay out as long as he can before he hands over to his teammate Keegan Masters. Green is in the BMW, still hasn't changed driver there yet. They just came in for a stop. Volkswagen, I think, are standing by. I did see them earlier on, and I might have called it a bit too early there for them. But the Polo GTI, I think, is on time, had an hour and a half completed to possibly do a driver change. That's what they did last night. It worked to perfection, so why would they change up their strategy? Podium overall, and they got index of performance as well with a 92% score in the index of performance overall. Duncan Dos Rice hanging on for now. He looks like he's coming in as well. He's going to follow the Polo in, and it looks like, coming right behind that will be the BMW E36 and the Porsche. So busy times down in pit lane. Gary's down there.
wheel. He'll be jumping out, and that's Keegan Moss is going to jump in. I see they're doing a full tire change and possibly fuel as well. So Daniel Rowe climbs out, and Keegan Moss will climb in. Now this could change up on a couple of the positions, but as this is endurance racing, so it's a game of chess. I see right-hand back tyres having a bit of a problem getting it on. And you can see the smoke coming out of the wheel wells. Those wheel nuts are extremely hot, and these guys are going to be pretty careful about putting them on, or they're difficult to get on when they're so hot because metal's expanded and shrinking. But they're doing a pretty good job of it, I must say, for a car that hasn't got a single nut turn on. It's a four-studded nut system, and then they've got to, once they've tightened them up, they've got to torque them. As you'll see, that's Mike Ullers on the right-hand front, or sorry, left-hand front, and he'll torque the wheels. And we got Stephen Green on the right front over there. He's busy getting that wheel done. And Graham Nathan on the left back. He's got it sorted. And they're going to be putting in some fuel. So drivers buckled in, ready to go. Here's Daniel Rowe walking past without his helmet on. He's just making sure that everything's going to plan. Done a pretty good job keeping the car where it is and in second place. So when he goes out, there could be a change in the circumstances for this car, and let's hope he can keep it there. Yesterday, this Porsche coming past us right now, they had a very big dice with that Volkswagen Golf, and Volkswagen Golf triumphed over them yesterday, but they lost a lot of time going in earlier with a big spin. Right, now they're going to be putting in the fuel in. That fuel crank, if you can see it, for every revolution of the crank, it puts in a litre of petrol. So those of you who want to count the revolutions that is actually turning on, you'll work out how much fuel's going in. And it's great to see Volkswagen Motorsport back in the country with this car. And you've probably heard Greg say it a lot of times, this was the trial car that eventually gave birth to the Super Cup cars, as we know them, and been racing in various other series. We've had them race in this series as well. And the way Mike Uller's body language, the guy standing in front of the car, he looks pretty happy with the way things are going. No panic. Everything going just the way they like it to work. And I haven't been counting the revolutions that he's pumping there, so it could be a good 40-50 litres going into that car. Guys just double checking wheels. Right, fuel is finished from the one canister. Will they open? Yes. Another canister comes in. Each one of those canisters holds around about 25-30 litres, so obviously 30 litres have gone in already, so putting in some more. This should allow them to go to the end of the race. This car is very light on its tyres and very economical on its fuel. So to be able to do the things that they're doing and get to where they're going has been pretty good. I do notice a little bit of damage on the front left fender. And I think that was a little bit of coming together early on in the race with one of the other cars. And as I say that, in comes one of the Shelby Can-Ams. For a moment there, I thought it was the leader. Right. Looks like they're ready. The car's firing up, and they'll be making their way out onto pits. Okay. Trying. Right, trying to get fired up. The lights are on and off he goes. Right, so that gives you some of the leaders' pit stops pretty well done. And as I say, that in comes car 42, which is Reggie Roots. Can I keep on going? Reggie Roots. Hey, you.
Yeah, so Record Roots in there for his scheduled stop as well at the hour-and-a-half mark. Again, hand the duties over to Steve Clark, his teammate. Great team between the two of them. Space team there. Gary's back down in pit lane.
So I mentioned car 42, that's Richard Roots, is coming to the pits. Now this car does have a problem, and I spoke to Steve a bit earlier. He was telling me they're stuck with a fourth gear only. All right, so they've been riding this race. Yesterday they damaged the gearbox. They put in a used gearbox into there. And in the early part of this thing, Reggie, who started the race, lost the car. He's only been driving this thing with fourth gear. They've got no other gears, or they can't select other gears. So what you'll see is they'll fuel it, they'll get the car started, and then they'll battle to get off the line, and they might have to push the car off the line. If that does happen, the clock of the course, etc., could impose a drive-through penalty, which is not the end of the world. But, yeah, these things could happen, so we'll just have to keep an eye on what's actually happening over there. I do see they're still fueling, putting in fuel over there. Those who can see the guy in the red overall, that is Richard Roots. Right, he's going to give instructions to Steve to get the car out and get going. On that fuel tank they've got there, a little plastic tube that runs down the side and tells them how many litres have actually gone into the car. Okay, it looks like, yes, they're going to fire it up. No. Okay, they're just washing off some spillage of petrol or fuel that spilled out onto the back boot cover of that car. And I see one of the clock of the course pointing to them. They say there's fuel all over the floor. They have to dry that up before that car can get going. And I hope they don't fire it up with that fuel floating around on the bodywork. That could create a nasty fire. Right. You can hear that car battling to get going, and that's in fourth gear. So they fired up the engine, but push started. Now, I will find out from Glock the COCs whether they're going to get a drive-through or not. And I'll let you know a bit later.
Thanks, Gary. Also just picking up on the action that's happening down in pit lane. As you can see, yesterday, just to give you a bit of information on the Steve Clark and Richard Roots car, as we've seen the leader come through there on a couple of the other cars that are making their way down towards turn one. Richard Roots actually completed the second half of the race in fifth gear. The entire second half of the race he drove in fifth gear only, using the torque of that engine that's underneath the bonnet of that backdraft Cobra that his team have got together. So a valiant effort there from both of them, and I think they might be battling with a similar issue here today. It's now up to Clark to do the same thing. So looking at the way things have gone with those pit stops, it's allowed Chop Sapuka to move up into second place. Zolila Tlaka is there in third. I don't know how that works, but that clearly isn't right in terms of what I've got. It's Chop Sapuka ahead of Keegan Masters. So Keegan Masters now will be in third place. I think there might be a bit of an issue there. Maybe the transponder has been left in the car, in the Chop Sapuka car, which is why we're getting both Zolila and Chop Sapuka's times registering on the timing monitor at the same time. That's all I can work out. That could possibly have gone wrong. Bucketless Racing has moved up into the fourth place. They will be ahead of Hein Laterkhan, who's now at the wheel of his Porsche. So some work to be done now behind Laterkhan, Keegan Masters, and of course Chop Sapuka to try and close the gaps down on the lead cars. Had a question asked there from Wesley Skinner, who's all the way down in New Zealand, saying what average lap times is Danielson doing? I can give you an indication. Keegan Masters at the moment, he's currently lapping in the 104s, but I think Danielson was lapping consistently in the sort of mid 103s to high 103s. So 103s around this track is pretty rapid for a car that of course is not a giant of a car. And of course that car built by Nathan's Motorsport, Dean Jeffries, Graham Nathan and Michael Allers getting together there to create that car initially for Volkswagen Motorsport, and then doing the incredible job of spawning off some cars like that one, the Bucketless Racing Super Cup Polo, which is how it all went. Angelique, I thought I might get you at some point in time jumping in there. Backdraft 21, love from the family. Go Das Rice. We like you, Dunk. Dunk the Hunk, getting some love from home. Love your work there, Angie. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, baby, for the comments there. Keep them coming, please. We do appreciate it. And hopefully that answers your question, Wes. It's about sort of mid 103 to high 103 that Daniel was averaging around the Aldo Scribante circuit. Light starting to die here rapidly, as you can see from the cameras, and of course the amount of glare coming off those lights now. It is a lot darker than what you can see on the camera at the moment, so the camera's doing us justice a little bit to tell us exactly what's going down from a race point of view. The team from up to 60 seconds doing a valiant job here, of course, to bring you all this action on the live stream. We hope you've enjoyed all of it. And as I said right from the word go, please like and share this to all of your own social media platforms so we can grow this platform, grow the footprint that we've got, and tell people all about it. Give you an indication, we have the Haval Edenvale Porsche, who has retired after an hour, but he also won the hour endurance factor of this race. That is Roy Aubrey, and he of course finished up in 15th place overall. Sun Woodley then retired his Porsche with a broken back wheel coming through Chevy Sweep. Zane Pierce and his team unfortunately ended up early on in the day with a bit of a problem in about lap 2 or 3. He had to come in. They did 5 laps, so 5 laps there for Zane Pierce, and he managed then to have to go and put it into the pit lane and out of action. Trudale Motorsport didn't make it out onto the circuit, unfortunately, and neither did the Auto Investment Ligier, and of course the Backdraft Cobra of Mike McLaughlin also not making it out there for the start of the second race of this weekend and round 4 of the South African Endurance Series. Maggie Blair showing some support there for Andrew as well. That must be for Andrew Horndog. The Horndog's got lots of support out there, which is great to see, but he's doing such a good job of it. Hopefully Matt Nash is watching at some point in time to, so we can give him an official happy birthday like we did to Kwame Mokwena and to Bernali Arangis earlier in the day. Why does the refueling look so painful? Well, Brian Hepburn, I can tell you that some of the guys have got full refueling rigs where they use the gravity-fed feed. Some of the cars have just decided to go with the standard option hand pump, as you saw from Volkswagen Motorsport. It's up to the teams to decide what they want to do. That's a great shot there, Daryl. Thanks, man. Full Moon Junction. No, we can't say that one, eh? Full moon above the circuit right now. So as you can see, I mentioned it a bit earlier on, but going back to the question there from Brian, some of those refuel rigs are just the standard option refuel rig. Some of them are gravity fed, some of them are just handheld that they put the fuel in. So it's up to the teams to decide what kind of refueling rig they want. Oh, here we go. Now all of the ladies are jumping in, hey? Thanks, Liesel. Here we go. All the way love from Hearties. All the way in Hartbeer Sport. Gerald Wright and Team Car 23 getting some love as well. Oh, we like that, ladies. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Your boys will be very happy with the support that you're showing from the sidelines. Don't write Chop Sapuka off just yet. No, we're definitely not going to do that, Pops. I know what the ability of that man is. After paying for his drive to go to the Indy 500, Chop Sapuka certainly knows what to do in a race car, and particularly here at his home track. So we'll keep an eye on his progress. Currently in second place on the road. He's 5 laps down, and he's 2 laps ahead of that car of Keegan Masters. So Masters and Rowe with some work to do. And he'll be, or Rowe will be looking to keep Keegan Masters well on the way to catch Chop Sapuka again and make it a bit of a battle there between Strudale Motorsport and Volkswagen Motorsport. Hanley also sending me some information all the way from, of course, our medical team at Swartkops. Thanks for the information there. I didn't realize that Dean was involved in the build of that car as well, but Gene Jeffries, Graham Nathan, Michael Lawless, what a great car you guys have built. And as I said, that is the concept car that went on to spawn all of our current Super Cup Polo GTIs that are out in the circuits of South Africa and will be in East London next weekend for the National Extreme Festival as they roll in there for part and parcel of the 25th anniversary of Polo Cup and the second year of Super Polo Cup coming into play as part of Global Touring Cars. So as you see, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to try and spot cars now with those lights ablaze and the glare of the headlights, but we'll try and do the best we can for the next hour and 15 minutes. 1 hour 45 done. And 15 minutes of the second hour to be completed with another hour to come after that. This is where things start to get a little interesting because now it's the change of driver with a car that's already done an hour or so, or possibly even over a hour and a half. And the change of driver is a fresh driver, but the car may not be as fresh as what it was at the start of this race. And that's what the second driver always has to take into account. If you have confidence in the ability of your car and the build of your car, of course you won't have any worries about pushing it to the limit, and that's exactly what Andrew Horndog is doing right now, pushing to get through there on Duncan Dos Rice. So it's Nash Sport versus Backdraft Cobra. I'm very certain that Mikhail Patamba also has lots of confidence in the Bucketless Racing and Fast Developments Polo Super Cup GTI. So he'll be pushing hard and looking for a possibility of maybe catching Keegan Masters to take them on for the win overall in Class B. But there's a lot of work to be done there from the young Patamba's point of view. Chopsapuka. The nice thing about the shots that we're going to be seeing in about the next 15 to 20 minutes is some side-on shots of braking. You see those disc brakes starting to light up as well under braking. Always awesome to watch, and of course the big flames out of some of the backfires of cars as they come around the circuit now. The sun has dropped completely over the horizon, so we're almost into that witching hour. Rob Clark has taken over from Chris Pretorius in the Bucketless Racing Mini. First shot of Hein Lartigon that I've seen since he's climbed in the car as well for that Porsche team. You can see a slightly increased lap time coming out of that Porsche now. Lartigon doing best time of a 1:04.6 so far as he's climbed into the car. Currently lapping though in 1:05.4, so he's around the low fours, middle fives that he needs to be participating in and circulating at to try and close that gap down on the Klaka, and possibly even close the gap down on Sapuka. I beg your pardon, on Sapuka and Masters. The Klaka still coming up there in third place overall in the timing monitor. I'm not quite sure what that issue is. Maybe it's a case that they've left the transponder in the car. It's the only thing I can think of. Yeah. They've realized there is a possible glitch in the matrix there on the timing. Of course, Solile is definitely in pit lane. Yeah. I think it's just a case of that transponder might be stuck somewhere in this car potentially. Is that car slowing? No, it just looked like it was. Sapuka still looks like it's not firing like it was, but I'll keep an eye on that one for the next couple of corners as Chopsapuka heads up towards Dunlop. It's certainly a lot slower than what it was earlier on, so just keep an eye on that car of Chopsapuka, McLaren 650S GT3. You know, that lap was a 1:07.4 from Chopsapuka, so yeah, I was not wrong in spotting the slightly slower McLaren. On that one, the leaders just crossed over in a 1:01.3. Franco's still at the wheel. And he stayed out for almost 2 hours. So I would say maybe on the 2-hour mark we may probably see the lead car coming in. He has got a 6-lap advantage over Chopsapuka in the McLaren, so it's plain sailing there for Franco Scribante and Jason Campos, as long as nothing goes wrong in the car. Sapuka still going at it. Oh, problems there for Truta. Oh, sorry, that's Lotter at the car now. Lotter's on duty in that car. Wayne Lotter just unfortunately running wide out of Chevy and parking it on the sideline. It's maybe not an ideal position to be parked in, so will this potentially give us our second safety truck for today's racing? I'm just going to Chopsapuka's lap time there, 1:06.1, so he's definitely slowing. It's not as fast as what it was earlier on. They were doing 104s, 103s in that car earlier on. Now down to 106. Looks like Wayne's got the car fired up again. I don't know what the issue was on that BMW, but he was able to get back on track. He'll probably nurse it back into pit lane now. As Dos Rice goes past him and Clark comes along for the ride as well. Just behind that is McDonald. And in McDonald's car now, I think will be Peter van Rennen. Yeah, Peter van Rennen at the wheel of the Shelby Can-Am. Okay, well, Lotte stayed out, so he must have been able to sort the car out on his own. Down onto the brakes into turn one. The car's now starting to just get into that rhythm that will see them to the end. Just been asked why the ladies are not participating. Okay, I can give you a heads up. Claire Vale's team weren't prepared to do any traveling in the Cobra that they race in due to COVID. They were just a bit worried about possibly having some issues with COVID. I know that that was the reason that Claire Vale's team didn't make it here. I'm not quite sure why Stian, Robin Creel and Chrissy Vaz didn't make it here. I don't think they were hit by COVID, but they may have been hit by the fact that the pandemic has affected their budget for racing. Everybody's on a tight budget, as we know, with how things have gone in this pandemic time. So that's our second lady, and the third lady is also in a Cobra, and unfortunately also didn't make it back down here, and I'm not quite sure why that third Cobra team didn't get you, but I would assume from what I saw from and heard from Brian Martin in discussions on Thursday and Friday, there were about 6 teams that were affected by COVID at some point in time. Also, just to give you a heads up, we're not going to be doing a full prize giving after this. We may just do the top 3 cars in pit lane. So if anybody is watching from the team side of things and picking up on our live stream feed here from the circuit, just to give you guys a heads up down in pit lane that the prize giving ceremony has been cancelled for tonight, and of course will be done at the next round of the championship in East London at the East London Grand Prix circuit. Hope that answers your question, Pops. Here we go. Lead car in, eventually. It's a long stint from Scribante. Hour and 50 minutes. I think maybe he wanted to give Jason a bit of a run for his money, because Jason did throw it in his face last night that he'd done an hour and 40. I'll have a chat to them about that at the end. Frank eventually out the car. You can see he's hardly even broken a sweat in that car. It really is a fantastic motor car to drive. Michelle Jonker saying, keep it up, Franco. Scribante Racing are in the house, and it's now Jason Campos getting behind the wheel of that car to take it to the end. Strapping the driver in. They can take oodles of time. They've got 5 laps in hand. Before anything happens to change the lead of this race. So the team will take their time, not rush anything, not make any mistakes. Kurbis overseeing all of those tyre changes. I've got to tell you something as well, that if they do take a double victory here this weekend, they move into a very nice and comfortable lead in this championship overall. And the other factor to be brought into account, of course, for Franco Scribante is both him and his cousin Silvio today taking a victory in the South African GT Racing Association. Aldo Scribante getting 2 podiums for the weekend will certainly boost their confidence heading into the Samola Hill Climb, which takes place in 3 weeks' time down in Knysna. We'd love to have you here as well, Tom Hugo. Unfortunately, as you all know, COVID has not allowed for spectators just yet, which is why we are here doing the live stream courtesy of Up to 60 Seconds and with the assistance of Link Online. www.linkonline.co.za, and you can get your specialists in broadband connectivity and network management and anything to do with IT really from the Link Online boys. We appreciate their support here this weekend, and of course South African Endurance Series helping towards all of the costs for this event as well. Massive thanks to Roger Pierce and his team for the effort that they put in. A couple of changes will be happening of course next year, but we'll get into that later on in the season. But definitely keep your eyes and ears open on all the social media platforms, as there's big news for 2022 for this championship and the amalgamation with the South African GT Racing Association Championship for 2022. Selwyn Roberts has just joined us. How are you doing, buddy? Thanks for joining me on my page. I know there's a couple of ladies and gents that have joined us on the other two pages that we're going out on Facebook, and a big welcome to anybody who might be watching us on YouTube as well, on Up to 60 Seconds and on ILEB. Remember that we do have a post-production package going out with this series as well, and it'll be on Ignition TV probably in about 2 weeks' time. Looks like they've sorted out that timing issue there. Paulie? Maybe you want to just, we'll give it a couple more minutes. We'll do it at the 2-hour mark. We'll go to official results at about 2 hours, which is about 4 laps time. We'll give you standings at the 2-hour mark here. Lights ablaze now, making it exceptionally difficult as they come towards us. You're just seeing a set of headlights, but on the angles that we've got here, we can pick up on cars occasionally. One of them being the Volkswagen Polo GTI here of Keegan Masters. Cameramen are going to battle to pick them up, because if the light's going straight into the lens of the camera, it takes a while for it to readjust to get the focus right. But we do the best we can to bring you all this action. It's always an honor and privilege to be part of this team, Paul and Daryl doing such an amazing job behind the scenes to give you the action that is on track all weekend long. Even the highlights from yesterday we were able to put out just before the start of this one. And remember, the cool thing about this is that if you want to pick up on any of this action, you can always rewind it on your live feed and go back and see what happened with some of the incidents that have happened there, and you can watch it as many times as you want to, whenever you want to, as long as you've got some kind of social media device that allows you to get onto Facebook or onto YouTube. Mentioned it earlier on, and by the sounds of things in our cameras that I can hear in the background, traction is becoming a bit of an issue. I'm going to quickly run through and pick up on my weather app one more time and have a look and see how things are going. Mark van Blensdorf has just jumped in as well. Andrew Horn is doing pretty nicely at the moment, currently sitting in 6th place overall, but I'll give you the results in about a minute and a half's time there, Mark, so just stick around. The real fuel has dropped down to 11 degrees Celsius, but the wind has also died slightly to 22 k's an hour. So the factor that we've got to take into account is ambient temperature dropping rapidly means that track temperature will be dropping as rapidly, and traction will become a massive, massive factor heading into the closing stages of this one. Paulie? Okay, here we go. Stian Kriel, next one. Yes, Dion Holiday, we're hoping for that. But another comment that'll come up now is Dion Holiday, nope. Sal die 9 uur weer gooi gee. No eers hill climb. Oh, that's why. Okay. So Stian has decided to concentrate his efforts on the hill climb. I know that they were testing a separate Cobra at Swartkops and at Midval over the last week. So potentially getting that car ready for hill climb, which is why they gave this one a miss. So Stian Kriel, Robin Kriel and Kursi Vaz, who would be probably at the front end of Class E, fighting with that Cobra that's just gone through shot of Steve Clark and Richard Ritz, have decided that they are going to stick around. Stian, thanks for that, and Dion Holiday, thank you for the comments. We go on the assumption, of course, that a couple of guys have had some battles. I wasn't wrong in terms of stating it was a budget issue, because you can't race this event and then in 2 weeks' time go down to the hill climb and spend money there to race unless you've got a big budget. And I know that Stian, Robin and Kursi are working on a slightly smaller budget than most of the teams. So thanks for that, Stian. And that's the cool thing about how we do live stream commentary and coverage of the event, is that we have the ability to go interactive with our drivers and teams and people that are asking certain questions about how things are going. With 2 hours up, there you go, Mark van Willensdorf. We've got Jason Campos at the lead of this race, leading Class S as well and overall, and 106 laps completed. Chop Sapuka is in second place with 103 laps completed and leading the GT3 category at this stage. Keegan Campos in third, leading Class B, third overall, 101 laps completed, so 2 laps down there on Sapuka. Hein Larticon is the second of the GT3 SA cars and is in fourth place overall, completing 100 laps. Mikhail Patamba and his teammate Brad Scorer in fifth place, second in Class B, and they are out there in the Super Cup Polo GTI. Andrew Horndog, the man you were looking for, Mr. Van Willensdorf. You've got Andrew Horn and his teammate Gerald Bass that are sitting in sixth place overall but leading their Class V. Steve Clark and Richard Rutz currently at the top end of the Cobra category and in seventh place on the track at the moment, having completed 96 laps of action. Peter Van Rennen is out there now in, of course, the Shelby Can-Am, and he leads our Class O ahead of Rob Clark, who's third in Class B in the Mini. Duncan Dos Rice is sitting in second place, so it's South Coast ruling the Backdraft Cobra efforts here this weekend. Sean Valance in the BM is up to 11th. Philip Meyer is down to 12th, but he's made up some ground. He's now sitting third overall in Class E, so a good effort there from the Wright Motorsport boys to get Philip Meyer back on track and back into contention for a podium in Class E. Wayne Lotter is their lead car in Class F with Byron Pretorius, the last car on track at the moment, down in 14th place. The 15, 16 and 17 cars. 15th car, of course, is the Haval Edenvale Porsche, and that finished after an hour as he only entered for the hour endurance. That's Roy Obrey taking the win there for the second time this weekend. Son Moodley in 16th had a bit of an issue earlier on with a broken wheel coming out of Chevy Sweep, and Zane Pierce, after 5 laps, had to retire his Cobra back into the pit box. So that's how it stands just after 2 hours. None of the Mobile V8 supercar drivers are here this weekend, unfortunately, Mr. Van Willensdorf. So they were some of the teams that didn't quite make it out here. We did have a bit of an issue with the Ligier, as I mentioned at the top of the show and also in the mid-pack of the show. Go Bucketless Racing and go Chop Sapuka. Manda and Ndakani's in the house. Manda and Ndakani, you were a mini driver, so you have to support the mini drivers. And you have to support your brother Chops as well. But going back to your comment there, Mark, unfortunately none of the V8 drivers are here this weekend, as one of the Cobra teams that didn't make it out, of course, was the Di Matteo Racing Machine. So none of those boys have made it down here. David Kutsia, Julian Familiaris, and Franco Di Matteo, they're not here this weekend. But we, as I said, we did have Jeff Kruger, who stepped up into the Ligier for the first time and actually got it onto the podium in second place last night with Rian Botman. But a problem with that car and a broken crankshaft set the deal for them not to compete and actually not even to make the start of the second race of the weekend. Bruce Pipe has come off on the 135 BMW, getting information there from Gary, so I'm sure they're going to try and sort that out and get them back onto track as soon as possible and get that 135 BM back into the fray. We're into the last hour. We've got about 55 minutes of racing still to go. I certainly hope you've enjoyed all the action so far, courtesy of Up to 60 Seconds and their assistance, of course, today from Link Online. So a lot of activity down in pit lane. I think the Mayo car might be coming back into pit lane as well. I think he is possibly back in pit lane. Bit of frantic work being done there. A couple of guys working overtime at Wright Motorsport at the moment. Campos is doing such a great job, and speaking to him last night after their race victory in round 3, he is just absolutely stoked to be part of this team. Remember, Franco Scribante will be heading to the hill outside Samola in 2 weeks' time to go and participate in the Samola Hill Climb. He'll be doing the usual stint of Classic Car Friday in his B16 Chevron. And then, of course, in the Sheriff, all-conquering Nissan GT-R35 beast of a car that they have for the hill climb. And with the confidence that he's got from this weekend, it'll certainly bode well for him. He'll be joined, of course, by his arch-rival on that hill, Andre Besaidenote. He'll be looking to take his Gould F1 car and make it king of the hill. And possibly Wilhelm Bart as well, fighting hard for honours there. Richard Rutz will be there too, and as we heard, Stian Kriel will be there as well in the Cobra. Jeff Kruger will be there too. He's got, I think, the Lotus that he's entering in the Classic Car Friday. Lee Thompson, his teammate from Universal Motorsport, will be there as well. So there's a lot of drivers that were involved in today's action that will be making their way either next weekend to the East London Grand Prix circuit for the Extreme Festival, or in 2 weeks' time to Neisner for the Samola Hill Climb. Masters has made up 1 lap, but I don't know if he's going to have enough time here to possibly catch the 2-lap difference they've got behind Chop Sapuka. Lots of blaze now here at the circuit. One cool thing is that the straight is lit for the drag racing events that they have here as well. So it definitely gives us a little bit of additional lighting that's required for nighttime racing. Maybe we need to get hold of Himoinsa and Chris Davison, Paul, and see whether or not we can get some lights that we can travel around the country with and put them up all over the place. That was a really awesome event that Chris Davison got involved with at the Passion for Speed Festival at Swartkops. Chris, of course, known as Colonel Custard when he still had his Opel Superboss. He's now got a Polo in the Pozidrive Volkswagen Challenge, and Himoinsa is his sponsor, and they provided generators and lighting systems for the Swartkops circuit to allow us to go racing at night at the end of the Passion for Speed Festival weekend. It was an amazing race. It saw Super Hatch, Pozidrive Volkswagen Challenge, and the 111 Sports and Sports and GT category from Car Care Clinic, all involved in one big effort. Franco will definitely be at the hill climb in the Jag. I heard that from him as well, Mark van Willensdorf. And also just news from that side of things. Daniel Rowe, who was in the Volkswagen Motorsport car earlier on, who did the first stint there for them in the Polo GTI, I believe has also gone and bought himself a Car Care Clinic in Paarl. So deciding to go into the Car Care Clinic franchising, and I believe it's going really well for all of those guys and girls down there. Particularly gives me an opportunity to also say happy birthday to Mel Spur and Votu, who's down in there, and they're of course the steam train behind all the Car Care Clinics in the Cape at the moment. So happy birthday, Mel, from all of us here at Up to 60 Seconds Production, and from the South African Endurance Series competitors as well. We wish you all the very best for many more, man. If you've joined us here on the live stream, hope you were enjoying all of the action. You just see lights ablaze as the car turns in. I can tell you who it is. It's the Super Cup Polo. The BMW is still circulating out there as well. Sean Valance. Cobras. We've got Porsches, we've got Volkswagens, we've got a Mini, we've got a Shelby Can-Am, we've got a Nash, and we've got a McLaren. We're fighting for honours now into the last 50 minutes of racing. 50 minutes, there you go. That's the shot I wanted to see a while ago. Thanks for that, Daryl. Massive brake disc light up as it came out of Dunlop corner there. Always love that. Night racing and you watch those brake discs just light up. It's pretty spectacular. And that, of course, is where Chop Sapuka is in turn 1. And Keegan Masters making his way down towards turn 1. So Masters is making up some ground here, but he's got to do it 2 more times. There come the flashing lights of Jason Campos to warn Steve Clark he's coming by. I was chatting to Charles Arunges over the weekend, and he said that in the Audi, the R8 LMS that they've brought in, that took its inaugural victory today in race 3 of the South African GT Racing Association, our endurance race. When you hit the flashing lights to warn the driver that you're coming by, the Audi team that had that car have an icon that pops up on the heads-up display, and it's a bulldog with a sort of spiked collar that comes on. So the driver, as he hits the flashing lights to warn the driver in front of him, gets this bulldog going, I'm coming to get you. So quite a nice bit of a sense of humor from the team that owned that car previously down in the German series that pulled that car from. So great to have that Audi R8 in our midst. As I said, just getting a heads up, we're not going to do an official prize giving, but we are going to be doing the 1, 2, 3 cars, and they'll be parked just in front of the first part of the pit lane. Gary just coming up to give us indication. It'll be just the side of where that BMW is pulling into right now. That's Sean Valance coming in. This is possibly their last stop. Can I just double check the wheels, torque those nuts, maybe do a little splash and dash. Is there going to be a driver change? Maybe. Just getting out. Yep, there we go. And the driver change there. Sean Valance out the car. I would say probably Rob Green getting back in. I think there's only 2 drivers. Are there 4 drivers in that car? Okay, well, we'll wait and see who that driver is. Unfortunately, I don't know that local team that well, and also I would have gone with a helmet design there, because when you're watching guys getting in and out of race cars in similar overalls, the only way to differentiate them is possibly what kind of helmet they've got on. So I'll wait and see what the timing monitor tells me when that driver comes back out on track in the E36. They're doing a great job. They're just outside the top 10. And for a local WCT Motor Engineering BMW, it's a great effort from them. Campos has completed 117 laps just while we're watching this BMW get sorted out. Sepulka's done 114. Masters has done 111. Hein Laterkhan has done 111. So, Daryl, at some point we're going to have to keep an eye on the progress, beg your pardon. Oh, frog's coming in my throat right now. The progress of Hein Laterkhan's Porsche. That's the white one with the black and orange stripe, catching potentially the Volkswagen Polo GTI. They're on the same lap. There is a big difference between them at the moment, but Laterkhan has definitely made up ground, and we'll be looking to that's the Porsche we got in shot right now. Yes, so that's the exact one I'm talking about, and its potential to catch the Polo. I'll keep an eye on the times and the lap times, but we'll definitely keep an eye on the potential change up for 3rd and 4th place between them. It was a bit of a discrepancy that we got wrong last night. We said there was a possibility that the Porsche had actually got 3rd place overall, but unfortunately it wasn't the case. That was Chop Sepulka coming in with a very loud McLaren, and I think it's just for a splash and dash. We heard from Gary earlier on that this McLaren is not that great in terms of fuel efficiency, which means it would have had to come in for its last splash and dash to get him to the end of the race. 47 minutes or 46 minutes to go, so it's Valentino Rossi hour. I don't know if you guys saw the news today, and I know I'm using this platform as an advantage to give that news, but if you haven't seen the news, massive announcement for VR46 and the introduction of Armco, a Saudi Arabian Prince-based oil company that have been involved in F1 and various other big motorsport events, announcing an $18 million sponsorship of VR46 team for Valentino Rossi, and a $300 million Valentino Rossi theme park in Saudi Arabia, looking to try and entice MotoGP to come to Saudi Arabia. That's the Porsche we want to be talking about. Yes, thanks, Daryl. Car 5. And we want to see just whereabouts the Polo is in its hunt to catch him. It's about a 28-second gap. So the Polo will probably be coming onto the main straight at this point. As I said, that he's actually heading down towards turn 1. So there's a bit of a... You don't have to find it immediately, guys. We're going to just keep an eye on it, though. Daryl, of course, is doing all the calling to the cameras here and the direction of the production at the moment. But we're going to just keep an eye on that, because it is probably going to be a big fight to the end here between the two of them. And it's a nice fight to watch out for as well. Porsche versus the Polo GTI. Is that the Pretorius? No. Hein Laterkhan's about a second a lap quicker at this point in time over Keegan Masters, so that's why I want to be keeping an eye on it. That Cobra had its indicator on and went straight on. So is it one of those Cobras that may be doing an eventual right? Possibly. Jason Campos, Chop Sapuka, Keegan Masters, Latakhan, and Patamba are your top 5. Reggie and Steve, bring it home. Thanks, Paulie. Appreciate that, bud. It's Sean Gradwell that's behind the car of 237 now. So apologies to the 237 team there, the locally based motor engineering team. I'm not quite sure. As I said, I don't know those drivers that well, and looking at the helmets, I didn't recognize the driver. But it's Sean Gradwell now behind the wheel of the E36 BMW into 11th place. Possibly a top 10 up for them and up for grabs. We'll also be looking at potential winners in the index of performance. Last night it went to Volkswagen Motorsports team, but they were followed by 0.8% by Botma and Kruger. McDonald in again, or Van Rennen in. Probably just for a splash and dash as well. I don't think there'll be a driver change now. Van Rennen should finish this one up. There was supposed to be a third driver in that team. Flashman Finneman was supposed to join that team again, but unfortunately there was a bit of an issue with the issuing of his license due to the fact that he is an autistic young man, and he of course wants to have his racing as much as possible. Wasn't able to get the license in time. I know that they're going to work to get that sorted out. Roger Pierce was telling me that there will be some kind of a look into getting him ready to go, possibly for the East London Grand Prix round of this championship. So as we stand right now, we've got about 43 minutes to go, and the Polo's in. What looks like a bit of top up of some kind of liquid that Polo engine requires. Either oil, I think it looks like oil to me. Maybe the oil light came on. I want to just make sure that there's no problems, and brought it in on a precaution. As I said, the next round of this championship is at the East London Grand Prix circuit. It's on the 1st and 2nd of October. So if you are down here on the Eastern Cape, and hopefully we get some kind of indication that we can get some spectators to events soon, I mean, that's the place to be. He bumped the indicator. No, Mark, it definitely wasn't the indicator. It's been on since the driver changed. You know, he hasn't turned it off. I don't think he realizes it's on. That's the problem. And that's the Cobra we're talking about with its right-hand indicator on. It definitely looks like they are filling up with some oil there. So maybe, as I said, the oil indicator light coming on, and they just came in precautionary, not to lose that 3rd place. They won't lose the 3rd place. Oh, they have. They've lost the 3rd place to Hein Laderkhan. So with that oil issue, Volkswagen have dropped down to 4th place behind the Porsche. So we didn't have to worry about it, Gary. Daryl, we found it in pit lane, but thanks for that. We were looking for the action on track, and it happened right in front of us in pit lane. So the Polo GTR makes its way back on track, but that means it's going to have lost some ground now to the Porsche of Hein Laderkhan. So that position may change up compared to what happened last night. We're definitely going to have a change in 2nd place, because our 2nd place team from last night did not make it to the start of race 4. Laderkhan's up to 3rd. Sapuka stays in 2nd, and there is the 2nd place car coming up on Laderkhan. Indicator still on the Cobra. Does he go in this time? He does. Okay, so it was an eventual right on the Cobra. He decided 7 laps later to turn right into pit lane, and then stayed in pit lane. It's the Pretorius car that's coming in there for a possible change-up. No, it's not. It's the DOS race car. Beg your pardon. In this kind of lighting, the orange and red look exactly the same. But it's the 2nd car on track of Duncan Dos Rice in the Cobra category who's come in. I don't think it was a scheduled stop with the urgency around the car. He's coming in just to have a chat there with Van Heerden and his team. Brian Martin there as well. It's one of my favorite names to his race team. SNVL Racing. So if you know what SNVL stands for, then I don't need to explain it, but of course it's sex, nudity, violence, and language racing. It's Dunk the Hunks team. So it's Campos who leads out, having completed 125 laps of action right now. $121 for Chop Sapuka. 119 for Lodicon, 117 now for the Polo GTI, and there definitely is an issue there on that Cobra of Duncan this Rice. They're just checking the oil, the dipstick comes out there. Maybe it's an oil pressure issue on that engine for the second placed Cobra. And if I look at 107 laps for them, next car on track is 74 laps, so they've got a lot of time that they can use to still stay in second place in the Cobra class. That's Sapuka closing on Laticon. Heading down towards turn 1, it's the McLaren closing on the Porsche, and they're also getting onto the back end there of Andrew Horndog. He's in 6th place on car 31 in the Nash MVW3. There's the battle now. It's not a battle, it's literally a lap going to be taken away now from Laticon by Sapuka. So Laticon being caught by Chop Sapuka and about to have a lap taken away from him again. Mark Van Willensdorf, you're asking a very pertinent question there, buddy. Any news on the Kyle Army 9 hour? I can tell you that as of this weekend we had confirmation that SRO and the Kyle Army 9 hour is a go. There are 22 cars that are touted to come to South Africa from our international teams, including the CMR Bentley of Stuart White and his team. Jordan Pepper's team is possibly on the way. We know that the Van der Lindes will be here as well. And then also big news that will be coming through the ranks, and maybe just give you a little taste test of that news. It hasn't been confirmed just yet, but according to the South African GT Racing Association, the GT Racing Association cars are eligible for the national class. Bit of flame coming out of that car as he tries to get it fired up again. That's the People Group and Wright Motorsport Cobra. Looks like, I think it might be Dean at the wheel. Yeah, Dean Wilson's behind the wheel of that car at the moment. So it's Dean Wilson there with a bit of issue coming through. Got a little technical glitch for our side too, which will get sorted out as quickly as we can. The 29 car, Warthog at the wheel of that car now. So confirmation of results as we speak. It's Campos, Sapuka, Laticon, Masters. Bucketless Racing 212 will be Mikhail Patamba behind the wheel of that machine. That is the Super Cup Polo. And they are leading class, second in Class B at the moment behind the Volkswagen Motorsport team. They're on the same lap though. So there's a bit of a fight on now between Keegan Masters and Mikhail Patamba. Steve Clark is in 7th. And 8th place is the Warthog driving the Shelby Can-Am at this point in time. Then it's Duncan Dos Rice, who's still in pit lane. A little bit of work to be done on that car. Sean Gradwell in 11th in the BMW E36. That's how it stands at the moment. We've got a small glitch in the proceedings here, so just stand by, folks. Won't be too long before we get back up and running. Apologies for that. Our team is working in the background to get it all sorted out. So we've still got commentary. We've just lost the camera feed there for 2 seconds. Yeah, it is pretty awesome news there, Marky, just to give you a heads up. It's, as I said, it's been confirmed by Wayne Riddell, who is our the sort of race director of South African GT Racing Association. And he was telling us on Thursday night that the national class has been confirmed by SRO, there are a couple of the teams involved in the national class that are looking to do the full 9 hours as well. But initially it was going to be just the first hour of the 9 hours that the national class will participate in. Some of them will drop by the wayside and out of contention after the first hour. And there are a couple of teams that are looking to stick around for the full 9 hours and participate and race against those incredible GT3 cars that come from the Intercontinental GT Championship. Once again, apologies there for the small break in proceedings. We are working to get the feed back up again. It is gives me a chance to just give you a heads up once again about upcoming events. Next weekend, if you're in the Eastern Cape, head towards the East London Grand Prix circuit and keep your eyes and ears on all the social media feed as we pick up action from the National Extreme Festival that is heading down towards the Eastern Cape once again. We've got Global Touring Cars, Global Touring Cars Super Cup class, the Volkswagen Polo Cup, Investcam Formula 1600s, and they will all be participating next weekend at the East London Grand Prix circuit. Next weekend as well, if you're in Maritzburg, you've got National Motocross action happening at the Maritzburg circuit down at Thunder Valley. MotoGP comes back next weekend as well with Silverstone, and of course you would have seen big news over the week with the Silverstone round being touted for the return of Cal Crutchlow to factory racing Yamaha to replace Maverick Vinales, who has been given a little unceremonious handshake to allow him to go on his merry way and join Aprilia next year, but he won't be finishing the season with the factory MotoGP team. We've got feedback again. Good job there, Paulie. Thank you, buddy. And let me just finish off the thought there with, of course, events coming up in the very near future. It's the Samola Hill Climb that happens from the 2nd to the 5th of September. And we'll have some live stream action of that as well. It's not our production house that'll be handling it, but there will be some live stream action from that. But you can catch yours truly down there looking after the Scuderia Scribante boys, Team Perfect Circle and Universal Racing. And all of their entries for that event will be covered by yours truly on that weekend as well. So that's where we are in terms of upcoming events in the very near future. But back to race action on track as we've got the feedback again. We can take you through what's going to be happening for the next just over half an hour. Quite sure what's going to be happening with the spectatorship at this stage for any of those race events, but we will definitely have live action and live stream action for the majority of the events that Paul and myself and the team from beg your pardon, up to 60-second cover, and then of course Paul, myself and Dave Peterson cover on other events as well. Live stream action will be definitely coming your way. And as I said, not quite sure what's going to be happening with the coverage there, but I would assume there will be live TV action as there has been at all the 9-hour events, and it may give us an opportunity to get onto that team for the weekend at the 9-hour at Kyalami to run through, of course, the international and our local competitors in the national class. Polo through on the BMW, Gradwell being overtaken once again there by Volkswagen Motorsports Keegan Masters. The oil pressure issue of theirs has definitely cost them. It's dropped them down 2 laps behind the Porsche of Hein Natterhahn. And also, and I stand to be corrected, but I've got Paul in my ear here, could potentially ruin their index of performance because of the amount of time that they've spent in pit lane compared to what they did last night. So they may not get the overall index of performance. I stand to be corrected, but it certainly does affect your ability if you are stationary for a longer period of time than what you should be. It may change up though, because they have been pretty on it in terms of lap times being matched by each of the drivers in that car, closest to their fastest set by each driver. Gradwell back in the pit lane. Yeah, I was actually thinking about that right now. They had a bit of an issue with that tank that's in the back of the car yesterday. I think it actually split and they had to do a re-weld of it overnight. And I wonder if it's a similar situation, or maybe they've had to put the smaller tank back in the car, and that's why they're having to come in more and more to do more refuels than what were required. Certainly one way to do it, hey? Get a 70 meter, then a 20 meter, then a 30 meter extension cord and put a massive light on the end of it, and then you'll be able to work in the dark. Warthog up the inside now, going through, and going to give way to Hein Latergan. He's going to come alongside them down towards turn 1. Gradwell back on track. He comes out, he'll stay on the inside of the white line on the exit point of the pit lane. One of the safety features that's been put into the circuit is that big white line down the left-hand side of the exit point, which you may not cross until you've got to the end of it. It just stops you from crashing into faster cars coming onto the main straight and completing their laps. Campos, Sepulka, Latergan. That's how it is, and that is Sepulka in shot right now. He is not going to make up 5 laps in the next half an hour, that is for sure. But he has got 3 lap advantage over Latergan. So that could possibly be how he finishes up, as long as he stays on track and stays out there. We saw a victory from Chop Sepulka and his teammate Zolile Letlaka. First time that a team of colour have taken an overall victory at a race meeting. It was awesome to see that. They were followed home, of course, by Team Perfect Circle's Andre Besaidnout and Saul Hack, who are unfortunately not here this weekend, both of them on business duty. That's the reason why we don't have Team Perfect Circle in the house. And of course also we've got back-to-back events there for them. Team Perfect Circle's Andre Besaidnout will be looking to retain his lead in the Super Cup Polo Championship for the Masters next weekend at the East London Grand Prix circuit. And then going on to hunt for the King of the Hill title at the Hill Climb. Continuing on track though, as we see the lead car coming through there on Latergan's Porsche. $138 for Campos, 131 for Latergan. 7 laps down on the leader. And 7th one just been taken away from him. So Puka could lose a couple more laps to Jason Campos as well before the final part of this race is done. We are 2 hours and 35 minutes into it. So we've got 25 more minutes of action to come your way. And now we get into the part of the race where survival mode kicks in. In a 3 hour, it's not as bad as when you do a 6 hour. And it's certainly not as bad as a 9 hour. And that's, of course, where things start to go really AY. You want to keep it all together. Keep your wits about you. Campos is certainly quicker than Scribante in the night, that is for sure. That's why they changed up the driver standing, because they knew they were going to run into the dark a bit more there, Pops. But I think overall they're pretty evenly matched in terms of their lap times and the ability to put those cars into hot laps like they do. Fastest lap of this race so far has been a 1 minute flat from Campos, from Scribante, 1 minute 0.340, so 60 seconds 0.340 in the Chevron. Closest man to him was a 101 from Sepulka. 101.3 from Chop Sapuka. So they're 3 seconds quicker than any other car out there in their best laps. And currently lapping in the 102s, 104s for Sapuka, 106s for Lartachan, 104s for Keegan Campos. Those are the lap times currently being set by these top 4 competitors. Lights flickering is what we're in for the next 25 minutes or so. Yeah, Brian, it certainly is a lot cooler. It's working nicely for the engines, but the problem that you're going to have with Brian Hepburn's comment on my page saying it's a bit cooler and he's got new boots on. The new boots are scrub tires. They haven't actually put brand new rubber onto that car the entire weekend. And the issue that they're having right now is because of those cooler conditions, the track temperature has dropped dramatically as well. Just to give you an indication, I'll go quickly back to where we were in terms of our weather app. Last time I looked at it, we were at about 11 degrees Celsius. It's definitely cooler here because I'm about to put my body warmer back on here in the commentary booth as well. The wind has stayed up at about 22 k's an hour. Humidity is up to 76%, and the real field is now into single digits, 9 degrees Celsius. So it's certainly a lot cooler than what it was earlier on. So definitely. Information from Pitlane as well, coming via WhatsApp and Gary van der Spey. Car 23, the Philip Mayer, Gerald Wright and Dean Wilson car has had to retire due to a broken throttle linkage. So they're out. Yeah. Possibly broken in the loop out there. I like that comment. Pops has just said he's certainly happy it's Jason driving and not Roy. That's a nice comment. Roy Campos won't be happy about that, but of course he'll have a good laugh about it too. I'm sure he's watching. He'll be enjoying all the action that his son is doing there as part of Scuderia Scribante now. And you heard it from the man himself, Franco Scribante, last night, waxing lyrical about how awesome it is to have Jason in the team. And his technical ability with the car is certainly helping them out as well. So good to have that matchup. No, I like it, Brian. Keep it coming. Keep the stuff coming. Stirring, stirring, stirring. But that's the part I love about doing what we do here on this interactive commentary on the live stream, is that the chirps can come from all over and all over the world at that. And of course it's something that we don't get to do when you're sitting in the grandstand. You don't have an opportunity to interact with the crowd like we do here on the live stream. And that's why I said that even when we get to a point that we've got commentary and live stream, live spectators again, we still need to do live stream action. So, we have got about 20 odd minutes to go and some change. Everybody seems to have settled down now. I say settled down. The laps are still relatively quick, but it's certainly a lot easier pace for most of the cars than what they've been running all the time. This one may be an exception to that comment, as Keegan Masters wants to try and make up ground and possibly get back onto the podium overall. Not going to be an easy thing to do though. Andrew Horn also with a bit of issues to sort out there. He seems to have slowed up dramatically. He's dropped down to 8th place after being in 6th place for a long, long time. I didn't see him come in though. So maybe he came in for a splash and dash, which is why he's dropped out there. Maybe the fuel or whatever. Okay, so it looked like there might have been a bit of a problem there on Horndog's car, but he is back on track. He's now down to 9th, so ooh, that's not good. Is he in pits? So he's in the pit lane at the moment. Andrew Horndog with some problems. That's not good. Certainly hope he can get back on track, because Gradwell could possibly get into single digits as well then. And Dos Rice might be able to make it back into the top 10 overall. In second place. He stayed in second place in the Cobra class. That's the other thing we've got to get into account, is heading into the closing stages now with about 21 minutes to go. We've got the 5-minute board that comes up, and at that stage pit lane closes, which means if you are in pit lane with 5 minutes to go, you may not get back onto track, which means you will be classified a non-finisher, because the rule of this endurance series is that you have to take the checkered flag to be classified. And there are a couple of cars who've been caught out in the past with late dives into the pit lane, not realizing that they're in that last couple of minutes before the pit lane closes, and it has been exceptionally costly to them. Horndog is back on track. There he is. So whatever they had the issue with, they've got it sorted. He stays in 9th in single digits. He's still going to win his class, but I'm sure he'd love to have been in that 6th place, or possibly even been in 5th place if he could get there in the Nash. 1 and 2 on track are now 1 and 2 coming up to the final corner. I think that might be the last time that we see a lap being taken back by Jason Campos over Chop Sapuka. Turn lots of BMW into pit lane there. Just grabbing a hoodie there quickly. It's starting to get pretty chilly in the commentary booth now. Looks like it might have been a little bit more terminal than what I thought for Wayne Lotter and Sean Truter. Looks like we've also lost our feed there again. It's battling now with the light conditions. The cameras are certainly battling to pick up the cars. But we'll get that sorted now in the next couple of minutes. We've still got about 15 minutes or so to go. While they are sorting out the feed, run through once again. Jason Campos leading Class S and overall, having completed 148 laps, with his teammate doing the majority of the share today. That's Jason Campos and Franco Scribante. Chop Sapuka in second with his teammate Zolile Letlaka, and they have completed 143 laps. So they're 5 laps down there on the lead car, but still leading the GT3 class ahead of Hein Lategan. Lategan with 141 laps completed. He currently sits in 3rd overall. And then it's Keegan Masters leading Class B and 4th overall on track with 139 laps completed. Bucket List Racing are up next. That is Mikhail Patamba and Brad Scorer sharing the seat in the Volkswagen Super Polo GTI. And they've completed 130 laps of action. Steve Clark leading Class E with his teammate Richard Rutz having completed 133 laps of action right now and sitting 6th place overall. 7th place overall is the McDonald, Van Rennen, and Warthog. Beg your pardon, Shelby Can-Am. And that Shelby Can-Am is 7th overall, but leading its class. Rob Clark, 2nd of the bucketless racing machines. And, of course, the Mini Cooper S is sitting there in 3rd place overall in Class B and 8th on track. There's his teammate, that is Mikael Patamba. As we got the feedback again. Andrew Horn had some problems. He had to come into pit lane. He's dropped down to 9th, having completed 129 laps of action and still in the lead of Class V, 9th overall. And local boys, Sean Gradwell and his team in the BMW E36 have moved up into 10th spot overall and are now at the front end of GT5 as well. Leader crosses the line with Campos behind the wheel and makes that 150 laps completed. That's a good call there, Daryl, to get the leader as he finishes his 150 laps of action. Great call there, buddy. Top class directing there. Right on cue. Campos comes across the line, 150 laps completed, and we watch him do that. "13 minutes to go. Okay, I got told car 23 was out. We're back in. The throttle linkage they must have been able to fix, and they've got back on track. Which means if they stay where they are, they're still in the shot of 3rd place in the Cobra category, which is the possibility of why they worked so hard to get that car back on track. That's the lead Cobra. That's Richard Rutz. And at the moment, Steve Clark in the wheel, or behind the wheel of that car. It's Bucketless Racing, Stradale Motorsport, as they come through to complete another lap of anger. Patamba diving on the inside of Clark, following Chop Sapuka through into turn 1. There is confirmation with about 12 minutes to go. Campos, Sapuka, Lottachon, Masters, Scorer, your top 5. Clark, Van Rennen, Patamba, Horn and Gradwell, your top 10. Dos Rice, Wilson, Lotta, Byron Pretorius, your top 14. 15th place already has, of course, finished racing for the day. That is the Haval Edenvale Porsche of Roy Aubrey, who's taken the win earlier on in the hour endurance race. And Sun Woodley and Zane Pierce, unfortunately, having to retire their cars. Sun Woodley with a broken wheel on the Porsche coming out of Chevy. And I'm not quite sure what went wrong with car 2 there of Zane Pierce, but he retired after only 5 laps of action. Chop Sapuka, 2nd place in the McLaren 650 SGT3. Doing a valiant job out there. At this stage, your concentration levels need to be on point. Any small mistake could be a very costly one. Comes down into Chevy Sweep now. 10 minutes to go. Certainly looks like Hein Lottachon has bought himself a very competitive car. And his teammate Tavares is certainly happy with the choice of taking Hein Lottachon on as a team member, because they're going to finish up in third place this evening if they keep it all together as they have. And they were outgunned right in the closing stages there by Volkswagen Motorsports Polo GTI of Keegan Masters and Daniel Rowe. That car right there. This time out the roles will be reversed. I know that this footage is also going out on Volkswagen Motorsports page, so we do appreciate all the support and all of the love being shown to the Volkswagen brand there from all around the world. The podium last night and possibility still for a potential podium, but a lap and a half in 9 minutes might not be doable. Brandon DeSantos, nice buddy. Good job from Philip and the team to get the car back on track. It's going to give them a chance of still finishing top 3 in their class. And with the amount of Cobras that aren't here this weekend due to the various reasons, that's a good effort to be in the top 3 in the Cobra class for Philip Mayer, Dean Wilson and Gerald Wright. Down there for Sapuka. He now completes 150 laps. Daryl, are you watching this the whole time? But you're getting it like to the T, man. We need 150 laps completed by Chop Sapuka. Let's get him on camera. And bang, there it is. Campos has done 155 though. Sapuka 150. Hein Ladekhan will be completing 149. He will also get into the 150 bracket. Masters should get into the 150 bracket. Bucketless Racing. Maybe Steve Clark will have enough time. No, I don't know if Steve Clark can have enough time to do 150 laps of action. So your first 6 cars might get 100. No, in fact, your first 5 cars will possibly get 150 laps or more completed in this one with 7 minutes to go. Can't believe that we're into the last 7 minutes of 3 hours. It's gone so quickly. And there hasn't been a huge amount of action. I mean, there has been bits and pieces here and there, but it's not like we normally see in the South African Endurance Race Series race. There's usually a lot more frantic activity down in pit lane. Lots of chopping and changing in the actual battles that happen on track. And oh yeah, I can't believe that we've got less than 7 minutes to go. This is fantastic service as well. 7 minutes to go getting a hot coffee. Thank you, man. A hot coffee is going to go down like a house on fire right now. I can't even tell you. It's amazing. Thank you. Just give you a heads up there, Paul. We've got some nice comments coming your way. Yeah, Brian Hepburn is saying thanks so much for making this possible to you and the team, even for an old guy. And then Pops has come in and said, 2 old guys, the feed has been great. Well done for the excitement. Can only get better. Paul and Daryl, thank you. Yeah, we are looking to improve every single time, that is for sure, Brian and Peter. And it's exactly what we're attempting to do in all of our live stream. There's a nice team that's been built up here with the Up to 60 Seconds crew, and then of course the collaboration that Up to 60 Seconds and the Two Wheels television team do for the National Championship race meetings as well. So we certainly do hope you enjoyed, and I can see from the comments that are there coming back and forth. There's a really cool pic. Hey, where did that pic come from? It's a good looking guy there on the left hand side, hey? That's the only day you're going to see Maloney, that's yours truly, with a beer in his hand. Other than that, it will be strawberry milkshake, Coca-Cola, or coffee. But that's on St. Paddy's Day. That's my dad's birthday, so it's the only day that we have a nice cold Guinness or a nice cold Kilkenny together. Oh, there's a spinner at the top of the hairpin there, Daryl. Yeah, there was a car off there. There we go. He's coming down. He's got back on track. As I said, your concentration levels have to be on point. Which car was it? It's one of the Cobras. He's heading up towards turn number 7 now to Dunlop Curve. And one of the Cobras looped out at the top of the hill. It was the People Group Cobra. Dean Wilson spinning out again. Oh my goodness. I can't tell you how I can wax lyrical about how Dean Wilson has spun out on few occasions that I've been on commentary. He had a 360-degree pirouette only a couple of weeks ago at Swartkops, which we managed to catch on camera as well. So I think on the sideline, his young lady that I met for the first time this weekend will probably be having a good chuckle about that, because he's done it again. Another 360-degree pirouette out of turn 5, the hairpin here at Aldo Scribante. Three minutes to go, which means that we are into the part of the race, of course, where pit lane has already closed. And there'll be no exiting a pit lane if you go into it right now. So that is a big factor to take into account right now. No more cars into pit lane, otherwise you won't get back out, which means you will definitely be designated as a non-finisher for this event. You have to take the checkered flag in order to be classified in this race. And that is definitely something that the teams will be concerned about, particularly when you make a mistake like Dean's just made. You cannot afford to make another mistake like that. .57, 2 hours 57 minutes and 45 seconds. So we've got 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go. This is where things can get a little bit hair-raising for the teams. They're all sitting on bated breath, holding thumbs and holding big toes and you name it, crossing fingers, you name it, anything that can bring them luck. They're hoping to do that. Take nothing away from the effort that was put in last year by Silvio Scribante and Franco Scribante in that car to win the championship in 2020. But certainly the induction of Jason Campos into that team has been a big factor. They've got the car sorted out. They've now got two very good drivers on an even par. We've seen Scribante's at the top of the podium twice this weekend. Silvio taking his first victory in the South African GT Racing Association's Race 2. He was on the podium in every single race this weekend of the 3 races that happened. Aldo was on the podium twice, and Franco is looking to get a double victory here for his team as Jason Campos brings that car around for potentially 2 more laps of race action here in round 4 of the South African Endurance Championship. We are into 2 hours and 59 minutes completed. This will be the last lap. 1 lap to go now for Jason Campos. It's not going to take him less than a minute to get around this track. He's not pushing at that lap record pace at this point. Although he's still circulating incredibly at 1 minute 2 second laps to get around. Coming up on Sapuka, so this could be perfect timing for the cameras as well. I think Daryl might have been in conjunction with the teams to say, listen, can we get Jason Campos just ahead of Chop Sapuka to bring them to the line for the checkered flag? Thank you, Daryl. That's exactly what we'll do for you, buddy. There it is. I don't know how he does it. He does it every single time. He just blows me away how he just choreographs the finish for all of us. Checkered flag on standby, ladies and gentlemen. And your race winners are going to be Scuderia Scribante. It's Jason Campos and Franco Scribante to take 2 wins on the weekend ahead of Chop Sapuka and Zolile Latlaka. Formation flying between 1 and 2 there. That is top quality stuff. Hein Larachan is going to come through for 3rd place in the Porsche. This time he beats out the Volkswagen Motorsport team, who beat him to the line in last night's round 3. Horndog finishes up. He'll be in 9th place. He'll win his class in Class V. Sapuka circulating to come and complete a fantastic day's racing. I'm going to head down into the Park Fermé area to catch up with the teams as well as with the drivers and get a couple of interviews. We'll do a wrap from down there. But stick around because we're not quite done just yet. And I will see you in a few minutes' time down in the Park Fermé area. All right, brother, here we go. Let's get in there with Jay. Absolutely amazing effort there from the team. Jay, just keep that Sparko hoodie on for 2 seconds so we can just have the official interview done. That's 2 in a row, buddy, and 102's in the dark. There's something wrong with you.
Honestly, the car can do it. It's really easy, I must be honest. All credit for that one has to go to Franco. He did all the hard work, gave it to me 6 laps in the lead. And yeah, I just brought it home. The guys are just telling me, guys, you're still the quickest on the track. Just bring it home from there. You know?
Dude, I want to say, I said it in commentary, but I know that you're going to love this chirp. Last night you said to Franco, I did 1 hour and 40 minutes. He had to go 10 minutes better than you today, didn't he?
100%, you know. Look, we spotted an opportunity. They said, guys, we're a little bit worried about our consumption. So yeah, it just worked in our favor. He had all the pace in the world, so nothing wrong there.
Big lead in the championship as well, heading to East London. That's definitely going to bode well for potentially back-to-back titles for the team.
Look, 100%. That's what I came in to help them do. We missed round 2 with a car problem, so we're glad we're back and we're back where we belong, number 1.
Awesome job, Jay. Well done. Great job there from the team. Let's go across here, Quell. Try and pick up on some of the rest of the guys. There he is. That's the very guy we want to chat to. Here he is, Exo. Come over here by the car, buddy. Chops, you come and join us as soon as you're ready. You had an initial stint there, got out the car and seemed to have a little bit of a cramp in the legs there, but did it work you a little bit today?
But men are not getting any younger. Eh? But yeah, good day. I mean, we came second. Very proud of what we've achieved this far, myself and Chops. And the car held on. We took a gamble. We went with the McLaren to this weekend, but it paid off. Extremely happy with the results today.
I'm sure that the local crowd are happy about it as well, because you boys are just from down the road here. Chopsy, jump into here, buddy. Don't be scared. You never have to be scared with me. You know that. My brother.
You don't scare me one bit.
No, I know that. You've been up against the best in the world, and of course, some of the best in the country are racing in this series. Yeah. When it gets to tricky conditions like we had tonight, where there's absolutely no traction available on track, because the track temperature, I think, dropped down to about 15 degrees Celsius. So it must have been tough.
I think if I take a story back home, you know, we're used to driving in the dark with no lights. It's not foreign territory, but you know, the team did a very fantastic job with our pits. And Xolile hang on to his stint, which was great. And it all paid out at the end, because this is where exactly ideally we wanted to finish, provided there was no DNF with the guys that were running in front. But we came into this weekend knowing that we've got an opposition that's much stronger, which is the Scribantes.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to maintain second place. And if first came through, it would have been a bonus.
For sure. Now listen, it means you're moving up nicely in the championship overall, Zolile, moving into East London. You guys are sticking around the home territory for the next 2 events, so looking forward to that one?
We're looking forward to that one, and we're hoping, if all goes well, it's another win for us in East London.
Can
Definitely.
you imagine that? That would be just mind-blowing again. I think the newspapers will probably lose their minds at that stage.
Yeah,
Gents, well done. We'll catch up with Hein as well, but great job, guys. There you go. Let's get Hein Ladegan in here. Where did he disappear to? Heine, come and join us here, bud. Roy Campos is in the house as well, I see that, and he had a little chirp from Pete Maloney. You better have a look at the feed, because my dad had a go at you there, bud. A big welcome return to endurance racing and of course to circuit racing for you as well. And I spoke to your teammate last night. He was blown away. We kind of got the result wrong ever so slightly, but then you went and corrected us tonight, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's I worked it out. It was the last time I raced it PE was 1996, so it's 25 years ago, you know. But I said to my dad, I said, it's not the 25 years, it's the 20 kilos that you gained.
Yeah, we know that. We know
So
that.
that was the problem. So it was more the fitness. But I mean, Verissimo did excellent. I mean, it's his very first race. And to bring the car home and not to spin it and not to have an accident, had a small spin.
I'm going to get to that one now.
Yeah.
Take us through that. A little bit of argy-bargy there with the Volkswagen and put you out. Looked like it could have been a big potential problem, but managed to get it back in.
Look, I guess I got everything for the first weekend. On our first test out a couple of months ago, I was in the rain. So now, obviously, I had a small bump on the back. Could have been worse, but it was good that it happened, because then I just came from the back and I was a lot more comfortable coming through the field. The car is, as I said yesterday, tremendous, and obviously following Hein as best I could. So I think a great result all round.
We're going to have you back again for East London?
Yes, yeah, we plan to do the series now.
Fantastic.
I also need to say thanks to Stuart and the team. I mean, they've been brilliant. Car ran faultlessly. So it's nice to have a car that runs smoothly and bring you home.
It definitely is. Well, gentlemen, congratulations. That's a overall podium for you guys and your first time. And what a baptism of fire. We're looking forward to East London.
Absolutely.
Brilliant stuff. Well, there you have it, ladies and gents. That is our coverage covered for the day. It is the round 3 and 4 of the South African Endurance Championship here in Port Elizabeth, Kwabecha. It's the Aldo Scribante Racetrack. Geza, join me here for 2 seconds, brother. That takes us through the end of round 3 and 4 of this championship. But of course, we head down the coast to East London, about 290 k's that away.
Yes.
And we're back there for another amazing event, of course, for round 5.
That's right. And championship is getting close and tight. And let's hope the other guys who were leading it actually get a car back on circuit again, which I hope Ranges and them do. But to see this Porsche and the other guys come in and do so well, Reggie driving with one gear for the whole race, fourth, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
And even young Andrew Horn and them in the Nash did a fantastic job out there. So to all of you that watched, we really appreciate it for the job you did upstairs.
Well, not my job. It was all, of course, Paul and Daryl that got the directing right. And, of course, a couple of little glitches there that Paul had to jump into, but we got them all sorted out. We hope you enjoyed all the action here on our live stream feed on both Facebook and YouTube. And, of course, if you want to go and watch it, you can go and watch it as many times as you want to, wherever you want to. That's the beauty of doing live stream coverage, and we certainly hope you enjoyed all of it. We'll see you soon at the next event on the 1st and 2nd of October, round 5 of the South African Endurance Series Championship happening at the East London Grand Prix Circuit. From myself, Greg Maloney, on behalf of Gary Van der Spey, my pit lane protege, and, of course, our team upstairs for up to 60 seconds. Take care then. Bye-bye now.
Cheers.